What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson, and this is the Commanders Council quarterly check-in. This is your first progress report of the season, so I had to go bring the big dogs in here so we could talk about it. My guy, Louis T. What's good, man?
What it is, man. What a time to be alive. What a time to be a Commanders fan, man.
I
I
know.
love it.
I know. Imagine feeling extreme pride for being a fan of this team, man. It's been so long. Ed Oliver, talk to me.
Feeling great, man. I'm loving this college offense, man. A lot of quick throws, side passes, man. I'm loving it right now. 3-1.
College
man.
offense.
We got a quarterback.
Shout out to Cam Taylor Brick, quarterback. Rico, street scores. What's going on, big dog?
Man, feeling good, man. Probably the first time in my life I've had two football teams that I can root for with a smile on my face every week.
Look at that. Blessings.
It's an amazing feeling, man. It's an amazing feeling. I hope you're letting them in Georgia know what's good with it, but we're going to get right to it. We are not going to waste any time tonight. I'm going to start with Rico. The first month of the Commanders' new everything season, it's a bit of a startup program. The first month of Commanders football this season has made you feel what?
Shock. I mean, nobody. I thought it would be great. Like, I was a big Jayden Daniels advocate coming into the draft and everything. And even like my best case scenarios, I didn't see this. I didn't see offensive Kliff Kingsbury. You know, I mean, now he only has to focus on the offense, but even best case scenario that I didn't see that being best offense in the NFL, advanced stats, even the surface stats that people don't, the average fan can look up real quick on a box score and see we have the best offense in the NFL. And then Jayden Daniels, I thought he'd be great. I thought he would at least show us signs by the end of the rookie season like we have a guy. But we're talking like top 3 quarterback and almost all advanced metrics, broken records, forget rookie of the year race. We're talking about MVP race. Like, it's just pure shock. It's bliss, but it's just like, I mean, I'm just waiting to wake up from like, and it's 2014 again.
My man said, pinch me. Is this real or not? We got a quarterback who in 1 month of football has the highest selling jersey in the league. He's made history. We are already media darlings, and we just hit October today. Ed, what's going on? The first month of this season has made you feel what?
Hype, man. It's weird, a weird feeling, man. Like you talked about the national media just glazing us, man. Stephen A, he got us in the top 5 power rankings. We're in the top 10 power rankings right now. Best quarterback in the NFC East. Talking about playoffs. I mean, it's crazy. Monday Night Football, going to somebody's house, taking over their house. Kliff getting his revenge. I mean, like we got a legit off. We don't punt. Tress Way doesn't even punt anymore. He don't even punt nowhere. The most he does is come in and hold the extra point and hold the kickoff, hold the field goal. And that's about it. So it's just crazy to see us scoring on every drive, and the defense is starting to wake up. So it's just it's a crazy feeling.
It is a very crazy feeling. It's really hard to describe. I'm going to let my man Lou take it from here. This first month of the season. I see you got your shades on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Boy ain't took them shits off since the last time I seen him on the channel. Talk to me, Lou. This first 4 weeks of the season has made you feel what?
Pride and euphoria. The euphoria stems from us having one of them ones. And I've waited so long for this moment, right? You know, we've all heard, we've prayed for times like these, right? For times like this, man, we've watched other teams hit the quarterback lottery. And while we've still been over here shuffling our papers,
struggling
for decades, I always say we were in the quarterback wilderness, right? Just wandering around for 30 years. And not only did we hit the lottery, man, like we hit the jackpot, right? You know, and who would like, thank you. Like Rico said, it's not that we hit the jackpot on this one. It's like you thought, okay, by the end of the year, we should know. Like, no, we not only know we got a quarterback, we got one of them ones. We talking top 5 in the league, one of them ones. Somebody got to get out of the top 5 to let our boy in type, you know, activity right now going on. And the pride aspect is just we've been down for so long, man. And to see all of this positivity, and the football guys had already said, look, man, a lot of good stuff is coming your way. You got 25 years of good juju that we've been holding in the tuck for you, stored away. We about to start just making it rain on you. So you got to be prepared. And after that Bengals game, I was overwhelmed with the love and the support. I didn't know I would feel overwhelmed, right? Like
I had tears in my eyes.
so much great content, and everybody was jumping on board, and I consumed all of it, right? I'm like, I'm even watching the joints where, the channels where they not supposed to be showing it, so they turn it sideways or they make it small.
Oh, you mean the channels they put the little foreign kid at the end of the video?
At the end for like 15
making
minutes.
dolls,
Right.
making dolls.
So they don't get flagged, right? Like, I'm even taking those joints in, bro. Like, I was ODing, right? And I was like, man, this is incredible. And to see Roger Goodell come out and say, hey, the thing that I've loved the most is everybody acknowledged it, because for the longest we were invisible, right? It was almost like, hey, this is what you get when you got an owner like that. We can't help you. And they just left us to fend for ourselves. So now everybody's like, man, we feel good for that fan base because they deserve this. And you damn right we do. And I'm gonna let everybody know it. We damn sure do deserve this. And you're gonna hear my mouth. And I'm not gonna be afraid to say anything that comes to my mind when it comes to this team, because I'm brash, and they've made me that way. You know what I mean? Like, I'm still respectful. Like, I see this Browns team coming up, and I know that at any minute the defense can go back to the way it was prior to the Cardinals game. So I'm not tripping like we invincible. But this offense, though, they on another level. I know this Browns defense is gonna make us work, because Jayden been standing back there building a house the last 2 weeks. He will not be able to do that this week against the Browns, right? But this offense is amazing, man. And it's so much fun to watch. And the pride that I feel as a fan, I haven't felt this way probably since 2015, maybe 2012 for sure. But, I didn't even feel this way in 2020 when we had that, 7-9 division win, right? That wasn't the same. Like, this is hitting different, man. This feels great.
It does feel great. And like you said, you were going to say something, Rico? Go ahead.
Just to add to that, like, I know the Browns defense you could say is probably going to be the best defense we've gone up against so far this season. But just to let you know, Jayden Daniels under pressure against the Cardinals, 13 dropbacks, 10 of 10, 96 yards, a touchdown, 3 scrambles, 5 first downs. Of course, no turnovers.
That's
Who needs PFF or pie graph guys when we got our guy Rico from Street Scores, man? Always on top of it. That's our numbers guy. He handles the accounting here.
That's right.
This team has built up an everlasting callus on us because we've been going through it our whole lives, bro. These 25 years of Dan Snyder, they don't even let you enjoy the good when it's happening. It take you a little bit because the PTSD start kicking in like war flashbacks from a veteran. As soon as the good starts happening, you looking for a flag. You're looking for a fluke fumble to come in there. You're waiting on the Washington moment to take over the ball game. Bruh, after Monday, I had water in my eyes watching that Bengals game. I couldn't believe what I was seeing on Monday Night Football. The week after we put the Giants curse past us, we go on prime time versus an elite quarterback, and our rookie goes and outplays him and just drags nuts across that stadium. You're just
down 7-0.
Down 7-0. They 2 weeks in a row, they go straight down the field and score on us. And Jayden is like, no sweat. I do this. Like, I don't even think Jayden's broke a sweat yet in 4 weeks, man. It looks so effortlessly and easy. So I'm like, okay, we got the nastiest hype video the team has ever put out.
They on fire right now.
Movie shit. They done hired Christopher Nolan to make the content for this team now. They got a whole graphics department, CGI. They made De'Ami Brown look like Jerry Rice in that shit, bro. They made him coming out on the field look like he was one of them ones. He ain't. But we ain't
another documentary.
Another documentary, Netflix style. He bust them for them views, though. He bust us for them views.
Yeah, hey. Shout out to De'Ami, man.
Shout out to De'Ami Brown. But you're waiting for the glass to fall. You're waiting for it to drop at some point. And there's no way Washington can build on what we did on Monday night. And we go into Kliff Kingsbury's former house. We go to where Jayden Daniels played and failed in college football before he got to LSU. We go out there for a week on the owner's dime, and we beat the living shit out of these boys in a worse fashion than we did on Monday night. 42-14. When was the last time this team has dominated a football team on both sides of the ball for 60 minutes? I can't even recall it off the top of my head. It makes me think about maybe Thanksgiving 2020, back in 2015 or 16, we played the Saints. We don't do that. We don't do that. And it almost feels like we should expect to score at minimum 3 points every time we touch the football. And it's a beautiful feeling. And we are allowed to talk our shit, poke our chest out, and laugh at the NFC East right now because y'all didn't even invite us to these conversations. When we do these round tables and these panels with these guys, they're laughing at us, Lou. They're looking at us like, oh, let's see what the Commanders guys say.
The lovable losers, man. They treated us like redheaded stepchilds, and we had to have permission to speak in those conversations. Now we lead in the conversation. We the managers. We run in the front desk, man.
Yeah, they treated us like Cinderella before the glow up, but guess what? The pumpkin is gonna be here past midnight. Like this is real because this isn't even the good version of us yet. We're trying to figure out our footing. We're learning how to walk and then run, and we're already taking command, all pun intended, of the NFC East. We are 3-1 through 4 weeks of the season, but let's get to it. Let's start giving out some grades, starting with no other than the quarterback position, Jayden Daniels, Mr. Ed Oliver. How would you grade our quarterback through the first 4 weeks of the season?
It can't be anything less than an A+++ from the last 2 weeks. I mean, he improved from the Buccaneers game. I mean, they asked him to run the throw. You know, he missed Luke on one play. He missed Terry wide open on that one play, and he made up for it in the Bengals game. He actually missed Terry in the beginning of the Bengals game.
He did.
So each play, each series, he's getting better. You look at the connection with him and Terry. The touchdown, the first pass he had on Cam Taylor-Britt, where the college offense, he cooked him on that one. And then the dagger, the clinching throw, what was it, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8? The dagger where we went up 38-25, that throw to Terry McLaurin.
The blitz.
Yeah, the blitz, took the hit, stood in the pocket. He's hitting guys over the middle of the field. 3rd down, 4th down. We're a 4th down team. That's what I love so much about Jayden now. Now we're a 4th down team. 4th and 3.
We convert them.
I'm ready. I'm going
We're
for
perfect on the season. 6 of 6 on 4th downs.
4th down, 4th and 1. Jeremy McNichols running for that's not Jayden, but Jayden is a part of that. He makes the run game better. He's making B-Rob better. He's making Jeremy McNichols better. He's making Eckler better. He's making guys better. Even Noah Brown, he's having a good connection with him. Even the throw on the pass interference, I like that because even if it wasn't a catch, who cares? We got it in the red zone. The pass, even the 2-point conversion, we don't convert on 2-point conversions. He's doing that. The pass is that.
See that throw to Ertz. Did you see
it's a
precision pass? Standing in the pocket on that. The 1st and goal, we run for a touchdown, effortlessly runs for a touchdown against the Cardinals. So he's checking all the boxes right now. He's staying in the pocket. The spin move he had on the Bengals guy where he broke his ankles like he was playing basketball out there.
Made him touch earth.
Yeah, made him touch earth. So just to see the improvement from the Buccaneers game from game 1 where, you know, it was sped up a little bit, which is normal. He missed a couple throws there. He's improved on that. The second, I think, ever since the second half of the Giants game, when he got hit, when he had the rib shot, I think ever since that play, he's kind of settled down a little bit more.
Wake up call.
His clock is starting to slow down for him. He's starting to find guys, and he's getting a connection with Terry. I mean, and it's going to get better. That's the scary part for defenses, which I love. But the biggest thing I love is that 4 downs. We're a 4-down team. If we're in your territory, we're going for it. And 99% of the time, we know our guy's going to get it. So I give Jayden an A++. And he's a humble guy. He's not, listen to the noise right now. He did say, y'all can't F with me. I did see somebody got that on Twitter. I did see that against the Cardinals. I like that swag there. But right now, it's A++. The only thing that I saw he really needed to work on was the Buccaneers game, and he's getting better with that right now. So each game, he's getting better.
A++. Lou, how are we grading Jayden Daniels through this first 4?
Man, whatever the highest grade possible is, sign me up for that one. You know shit is going well when Ed is wide awake. The play at the quarterback position has Ed's eyes wide open. I mean, this is legendary stuff through the first 4 weeks. There's been so much stuff that like stats that it's so many I can't keep up.
I got a whole gallery of that shit.
Like,
I got a whole gallery of that shit.
Every week, it's a new 5 or 6 new stats that he's broken or the team offensively is broken. I'm like, I can't keep up. It's 82.1% completion percentage through the first 4 weeks. It's 91.3% completion percentage as a rookie, with a minimum of 20 attempts and 2 touchdown passes. And it's all of these different stats. And I'm just like, and another one. I'm like DJ Cal over here, man. And another one, right? And I just that the performances just keep getting better and better and better. It's to the point I had a conversation with my buddy about 3-4 days ago, and he asked me, would I take Jayden or CJ Stroud? And without hesitation, I was like, give me Jayden. And that caused me to think, who would I trade him for right now? And the answer is nobody. I wouldn't trade him for anybody in the league. And I know that sounds crazy. Mahomes, all those. I wouldn't trade him because even his legs are even greater than that of Mahomes, right? Mahomes is a different animal. We know that. But Jayden has this rare ability to do some of everything. And I didn't know that was possible watching him coming out of LSU, right? I didn't know how high his ceiling was. I shortchanged him big time on his ceiling. Like, he's got legs like Lamar. And he's not Lamar, but like Lamar. I think he's the next fastest quarterback. Him, Kyler Murray, probably 1 and 2, but even Kyler didn't run on Sunday for whatever reason, right? We shut that down and he stayed in the pocket, but he's got legs like Lamar. He's got the poise of a CJ Stroud in the pocket, right? Where he doesn't turn it over. One of CJ Stroud's superpowers, he don't turn it over, right? And he doesn't turn it over either. He's extremely accurate from the pocket, right? So he's got that going. He's a playmaker like a Josh Allen outside of the pocket, right? Where he can extend, use his arms, use his legs. So he's got all these different facets to his game rolled in one. And most times when your quarterback is this mobile, they're not as accurate from the pocket. He is cerebral from the pocket. I am blown away with what he has shown, and the improvement from week to week to week to week has just been staggering. From week one against Tampa seems like 2 seasons ago. It seems like an eternity ago, and he wasn't bad in that game. Keep in mind, we should have scored on 5 of 8 possessions in that game if we didn't have a kicker that couldn't make kicks then. Correct. So even in that game when it didn't seem great and he was missing some throws, remember the first throw of his career? Remember the first throw?
It was a fucking disaster.
It was an epic disaster to Brian Robinson Jr. Do you understand how far removed we are from that?
My God.
Like, that thing was 4 yards behind, 102 miles an hour on a 2-yard pass away from you, 4 yards backwards. And we are so far removed from that. I mean, the steps that this man has taken, unbelievable. Whatever the highest grade is, sign me up for that.
Yep, and I'm going to go, and then I'm going to let Rico close this one out. I'm going to give him an E for elite because this was an elite first month of football, a master class, and to piggyback off of Lou, what the hell can Jayden not do on a football field? It doesn't feel like he has weaknesses. Literally, that hit, that little liver shot he took versus the Giants, it feels like since then, every single rushing attempt has looked perfect. He done got the hell out of bounds or down. He picks his spots better. He knows when the tuck-ins go. He's getting through progression. He does not look like a rookie. Like, he definitely looks like a guy who played almost 60 games in college. This is unbelievable. I have a fucking gallery on my phone of new stats being created. They're doing the LeBron thing where it feels like they're creating stats on the fly just to attach to Jayden Daniels, and I love it. I've always wanted us to have one of those, man. A transcendent athlete. Go on the Twitter app right now. Click on the NFL Twitter page. He's the header. Our quarterback is the header of the NFL Twitter page right now. #1 jersey seller in the league. I've watched content I would never watch because they're talking about Jayden. I'm watching these little dumbass teenagers react to football games just because I want to know what they talking about. What's the youth saying about my quarterback? What are they saying overseas? What are they saying in them videos like Lou said, where you got to turn the TV to the side to watch it? Watch a little boy build a Lego house at the end of the video if you leave the video on for too long. But man, I ain't never cared for this much validation in my life. It's nonstop glaze fest of our quarterback right now. They won't stop talking about him. They love him. They're putting him in conversations that I'm not even ready to put him in yet. And it's unbelievable. I'm giving him an E for elite. Like, if you're an anime fan, Jayden's first month of the season, he's been living in a domain expansion. If you know what I'm saying, you know. E for elite. Yes, sir. Shout out to Jiu-Jitsu Kaisen. Hey, Rico, close us out. Give me my quarterback's grade to start the season.
Man, I mean, it's hard to say A because I think he deserves some extra credit from what he's been doing, man. I'm gonna go S tier to take it back to some anime. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna go instead of A tier, that boy S tier, man. He's on a different level right now, man. I mean, just to start it off with one stat, he is the first quarterback in NFL history, not rookie or anything else, just pure quarterback ever to have 2 consecutive games of at least an 85% completion percentage, but we're attacking down the field. I can see the first 2 weeks, you could tell the Kliff Kingsbury, well, really the first 6 quarters, because that second half of the Giants game, we started to open it up a little bit more. And I believe that was trust in Jayden Daniels and Kliff Kingsbury, but it was also Kingsbury trusting Jayden Daniels to finally actually look up while scrambling, like Ed said, and things like that. But now the offense is wide open. So he gets a couple of screens every now and then to kind of keep the defense on. I feel like it's more so keeping the defense honest than Jayden Daniels needs this. And it's just amazing. He's attacking deep down the field. I mean, is he regressing? 2 incompletions Monday night, 4 incompletions, one of them being an interception against the Arizona Cardinals. Like, is he getting worse? Like, and that takes me to my point that I feel like that Cardinals game, even if statistically it wasn't as great as the Bengals game, that one makes me more confident because, one, he threw an interception. We saw him bounce back as if the interception didn't happen. To Lou's point about the talking trash, like the Rio, whichever one of y'all said it was, like he told the Cardinals player, y'all not effing with me. That was like shortly after the interception. That was him like running out of bounds to get us in the field goal range. And then he literally told a Cardinals player that straight to his eyes. And then like he knew, like, going into halftime, we're gonna adjust, we're gonna come out and we're gonna blow y'all out of this game. Like he knew that ahead of time. And so the fact that he bounced back from the interception. What were you saying, sorry?
No, I was saying the Bengals game, he told the fans, go home.
Yeah.
Go home.
Yeah.
Athletic arrogance, baby. That's what I love.
Sir.
Not an actual egotistical, arrogant guy. We've seen that here a couple times, but an athletic, arrogant guy. Go ahead, continue, Rico.
I mean, his personality is like the perfect balance to me, which is why, I mean, some people were calling him the Anthony Edwards of the NFL at first. I was like, see, it's starting to seem like that. Because remember before Jahan Dotson got traded, he said something to the extent of that Jayden Daniels reminded him how trash Penn State was, unprovoked, every day possible that he could. Like, just for no reason. Hey, remember, Penn State's trash. Like, just petty trash talking unnecessary.
He tells Bobby Wagner he's gonna dunk on him like every day.
Every day. Just be ready for that. Like, it's like the perfect blend of like extremely confident talking trash, but it's not over the top. Like, it's not. It doesn't make you hate him, as like a lot of y'all have already said. The national media loves this guy. People are galvanizing behind him, no matter what fan base they are. You're seeing Eagles fans react, crying. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, Lord, how do we let this happen and things like that. Shouts out to Greg Zerline for making that game-winning field goal.
Yes.
So we can have him. Yes, sir. But I mean, back to the interception thing, the fact that he bounced back like that, like, because the Bengals game was a little, I mean, the Bengals game was a little too perfect. Like, it just seemed like they just kind of, he earned it. But that Cardinals game was more like, no, he really earned it. Like, he had the interception, and then he came back, and he wasn't skittish. You know, some people get a little nervous. They stop attacking downfield. Some people try to make up for it by doing too much. He bounced back perfectly. So now that game is like, we know what he can do after he throws an interception. That's like the, swipe the sweat off your forehead. We got a guy. We're good. And even if he makes a mistake, he's ready to bounce back. And the fact that he's looking up while he's scrambling now, I mean, I'm just so impressed. Even like the Noah Brown, to y'all point about like we convert fourth downs, but how about we convert seconds and 15s too into first
Oh
downs
my.
immediately? Like the goal is to get 5-7 yards to make it third and manageable, but sometimes they just go ahead and get the full 15 right there.
Yeah.
I don't remember the last time we've done that.
Good point, Rico, man. Like no down and distance is impossible anymore. Like it was a time if we had a 5-yard penalty on first down, if first and 15, we're not picking that up in 3
Throw
downs.
play screen over.
We're not picking that up. Man, we had a 2nd and 21 against Cincinnati, and we got it to a manageable 4th and 4 and converted, right? We had a couple of penalties down in the red zone against Arizona, and we got a touchdown, right? We ended up hitting a touchdown to Terry on 3rd and goal, right? Like nothing is impossible, right? We had the penalty and then the sack against Cincinnati, and we were in 2nd and 21. And we went screen to Diami, and bam, 4th and 4. Zach Ertz, first down.
Easy too. Easy money.
Easy. And even going back to that 3rd and goal touchdown to Terry McLaurin, you know, in that situation, I'm pretty sure all of us were thinking we're up by a significant amount. Just run the ball, keep chewing the clock. Nah, Kliff Kingsbury was like, you go back there in that pocket. Shouts out to the O-line. Shouts out Kliff Kingsbury. Everybody deserves credit for this.
O-line Bobby Johnson.
Boy, I'm ready for that. When we get to O-line grades, I'm gonna talk that.
We about to get
We saved OG Bobby Johnson from poverty with the Giants. We saved his career.
Yeah.
It was never him. It was his situation, man.
Had to be. But I mean, just instead of running the ball right there to chew clock and say we'll just kick the field goal, they asked Jayden Daniels to go back and go through his reads. I believe Terry McLaurin was maybe his 2nd read at the soonest, definitely not his 1st, maybe even his 3rd, and to deliver that ball like that. And then I think it was Lou that brought it up earlier, the Zach Ertz 2-point conversion, threw it before he was open. I mean, that just play sequence right there. Instead of getting 3 points, we got 8 points because of the quarterback that we had.
It's beautiful, man. So we're all giving Jayden the highest honors through the first month of the season. It's unanimous at this point. It's a consensus, and it's the only way people should feel. I saw them stupid ass running back comments and Sam Howell comments disappear and dissipate so fucking fast, as they should, because what are we even talking about in the first place? But with all Jayden's success, there is no Jayden Daniels offense right now without talking about the conductor, the orchestrator of the whole ordeal, Kliff Kingsbury, who got his redemption arc sealed in a revenge game versus the Arizona Cardinals. He is scheming up a top 2 offense, and probably not the 2 offense in the NFL right now through 4 games. Let's talk about our offensive coordinator, Lou. Kliff Kingsbury, what have been your impressions of our OC?
I remember when Magic Johnson picked up the phone and got this man to come to Washington.
Blessed us.
And I remember in that moment being so excited because I didn't know what we were going to do with the offensive coordinator. Remember, we were rumored to be in the Chip Kelly neighborhood, right? Like that was some scary shit. Like I wanted no parts of Chip Kelly. And when we found out it was Kliff Kingsbury, I was like, man, depending on who we get at quarterback, and I felt good about all 3, and that was my stance going in. He's going to be really good with whomever we get, at quarterback, because his play calling will fit all 3 of the quarterbacks. And I think he learned so much from his experience in Arizona. He took the year off, and one thing I can say about Kliff is he didn't want to be the head guy, right? He just wants to call plays. He just wants to have fun. And he's having fun. We all saw the game ball, and Kliff come up there, and he was modest. He took the high road. My favorite thing to say now is, hey, it's just a college offense. Don't worry about it. They don't ask him to do much. Kliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator, right? Yeah, that's a nice little college offense. And they asked Kliff about it, and he took the high road. Like, hey, man, that's his opinion, right? Kliff, that shit was eating him up. And you saw on the sideline, Kliff was amped, right? When they scored the touchdown to Terry at the end, he was amped. And, this week, oh, man, nothing but gratitude for the opportunity in Arizona. And, they hired the first NFL team to hire a coach that had been fired the previous year in college football and this, that, and the third. But, he wanted some get back. And I love the fact that they went and got it for him. He has been masterful. The first couple of weeks, people were talking about all of the short, quick game that we were running. And that was by design, right? We had questions about the offensive line. You want to get your young quarterback acclimated to seeing completions. It's no different than seeing a shooter seeing the ball go through the basket. You want to get him comfortable, right? I talked about the offensive line being insulated because of not only Jayden's legs, not only the quick pass game, but the run game as well. And all three of those facets have been fantastic. And Kliff's play calling has allowed those things to shine through. He hasn't run Jayden a ton, only when necessary on those called design runs. Remember, it was a little rough early. We had some, QB draws up the middle. You're like, hey, don't do that no more, right? Like don't call that no more. He's been clean with his play calling. He set teams. Teams don't know if we coming or going. We left, we're right, up, back, left, right, side to side. They don't know what's coming, right? You want to come down and be aggressive, but as Rico said earlier, come test the kid. Come test the kid. The Bengals tried, and they got a 27-yard touchdown dot on their forehead, right? So you can't be super aggressive, because if you do and you don't get there and he decides to take off, then what, right? So it's so many different options for Kliff, and I just love how he's one week it's Austin Eckler, the next week we hadn't seen OZ since the preseason. Right, we hadn't seen Olamide Zaccheaus,
and then leads us in receiving.
Yeah. The man led us in receiving yards in week 4. Right,
yeah.
We ain't seen Diami all game long, and in the most crucial drive, 2 straight wide receiver screens to Diami Brown. Right, you don't know who's gonna get you. Jeremy McNichols had 2 touchdowns on Sunday. You have no idea who's about to bless you, and that is and we still ain't even unwrapped the Ben Sinnott package yet.
Oh,
right? Nope. That's still untouched, right? So Kliff is in his bag, and this is fun to watch. The thing I'm getting nervous about is how long we get to hold on to him for. Because with this great success comes responsibility, right? Yep. We've all heard that one before. Right? With great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. With this kind of success comes a responsibility to try to hold on to him. But if the Bears fire their head coach this year, you don't think that they might call up Kliff Kingsbury to come coach Caleb Williams? You don't think one of these college teams is going to throw $10-11 million? It's cool for him right now because he's still getting that Arizona Cardinals money. I ain't tripping about that bread. Y'all can pay me a little $3 million or whatever. I'm still making $8-9 million from the Cardinals, so I'm straight. But when that runs out, Kliff might be like, all right, man, I got to go. And so I'm going to enjoy it while it's here, man, because this has been fantastic. Fantastic, man. I'm loving it. Match made in heaven.
Yep, match made in heaven.
Let me just say this, too. I hope Tavita, Brian Johnson, whomever is the OC in waiting, please take notes. Please.
And please be ready and know how to run this exact system and all that shit. And a good point that you said, it's not the NFL teams that scare me. It's the college teams, because I think Kliff saw, conquered, got his bag. I think he's good on being an NFL head coach.
I think so, too.
I don't think he wants to go day-to-day talking to no NFL owner. I don't think he wants to work on no draft board. I think he wants to scheme up offense, live his chill-ass life.
That's right.
And I think if anyone comes a knocking, it's going to be a college team. But I think we're going to get 2 years at least out of Kliff here. I think him and Jayden are going to do something special, and then we can have that conversation at that time. I'm going to enjoy it while
cross
he's
that
here.
bridge when we get there.
This guy's offense, Kliff, the week 1, none of us knew what to expect. And it feels like he went into week 1 playing it safe. We had the extendo training wheels on week 1. It was pretty much, doesn't it feel like a year ago we were having the 16 carries in week 1? Are they going to run him to death this season? 16 carries, most carries in the week. We have not had a conversation even close to that since the first week of the season. It feels like we're a whole year past it. You know what my favorite thing about Kliff is? as collegey and as air raid as they talk about his offense, we actually run the ball this year.
That's
we
right.
run the football. We use the running back. We don't give it to Brian Robinson and say, oh, 7 yards on first. Bet I'll give it to you again in the third quarter. I'll give it to you again in the second half. Scott Turner and EB, that's what they did, bro. They'll give you a little, throw the jab one time, run it, find a little bit of success and say, nah, we're going to pass it for the rest of the drive. And you don't know which way Kliff's going to hit you. Like we're effective in the pass game. We're effective in the run game. Wide receivers are actually screaming open on a regular basis. Tight ends are open on a regular basis. Running backs are open on a regular basis. This offense makes sense. Our biggest issue with Eric Bieniemy's offense, the math never mathed. Routes were running into each other. The receiver depth and the route concepts, they were very confusing. It didn't really feel like the offense had symmetry. Like it felt like we were just calling plays from scratch and freestyling as we go. This offense makes sense. And even in our most ineffective game in week 1, we were in that game. We had our opportunities, but we shot ourselves in the foot with negative plays, with penalties, and Lord knows our defense couldn't get off the field. But our game versus Tampa looked a lot different than that Eagles game versus Tampa, but we'll get to the division rivals a little bit later. Kliff is passing with flying colors through the first month of the season. We can throw the ball, we can pass the ball, and the marriage between Kliff and Jayden Daniels has been absolute perfection so far. I cannot wait to see more. Absolutely passing A+++ for him as well. Ed, Kliff Kingsbury.
Oh yeah, man! I love the post game speech with Dan Quinn and Locke. He was like, "We can't let this man leave the city without a game ball." He was like, "Kliff!" Everybody got hyped. He had the Red Bull right out there. But,
who was the dude with the chain? Anybody know? With the chain around his neck? Do anybody know who that was?
Oh, I don't know who that was.
Yeah. Okay. He might have just been a hype man. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who that was, bro.
Hey, I just was wondering. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, you good. I gotta watch that again. But yeah, I mean, he was in his bag that Cardinals game when he had B-Rob in the Wildcat. I was like, yeah, he's in his bag. He had Oz with the reverse. And then even the Giants game when it was in the clutch in the second half and Jayden goes this way and he throws the ball to Eckler. Eckler runs for like 30 yards. Then he big body somebody on a run. So Kliff's gotten better each game. He's not dropping Jayden back 50 times. We're not running long developing routes. Guys are running wide open. He trusts the run game. And it's not just Kliff too. It's a good combination with him and Jayden working together. But I do want to give a shout out to Anthony Lynn. I think him and Anthony Lynn are doing a great job with the run game because everywhere Anthony Lynn has been, the run game has been humming with the Niners, the Jets, the Bills. So he trusts B-Rob, giving him 16, 17 carries a game, 15 carries here, 16, 17 carries. We rely on a run game, and we have an identity already. We have an identity. That's something we never had. We haven't had in the last 3 years. Are we a running team? Are we just going to drop Sam Howell back 50, 60 times? We're running the game, the marriage of the run game and the pass game. So Kliff's done a great job with that. He's getting other guys involved. Noah Brown, it doesn't matter. It's a wide receiver by committee. Him and Jayden have great chemistry, the chemistry that him and Kyler never really had, maybe after that first year. But and he got in his bag. I think Kliff had something to do with the defense too. I think he gave Joe Witt Jr. a couple tips on how to defend. Had to.
That boy in the gulag.
Yeah, he was itching. He was real hyped to get at Kyler for sure. I know he gave him some tips to Joe Witt Jr. for sure. So and Kliff's been honest too. And he was like, hey, I made the worst play call of my life, but Jayden saved me and he scored a touchdown against Tampa Bay. So I think they have a great marriage already. I keep bringing up the fourth downs, the 4th and 4 to Zach Ertz, the 4th and 3 where Jayden ran the ball, and even the 4th and 1 to Jeremy McNichols. Like we're getting 15 yards on 4th and 1s, 25 yards on 4th and 1s, and he's getting his bag on 2-point conversions, 4th down. So any down and distance, we're converting. So I think they have a great marriage already. But Kliff, yeah, he might not be here for long, but I do think he likes this role that he's got because Dan Quinn's the leader of men, and Kliff, there's questions about that, whatever you want to say about him being a leader of men. It didn't work out with the Cardinals, but I think he's in a great situation where he can focus on offense, and that's strictly it. And I think he's doing great in that role right now. So Kliff gets an A. He gets an A+ for me right now, and he even said it himself. He's making mistakes right now, so he's going to get even better. I think it's going to be even scarier for defense when Kliff Kliff is humming right now, and then Eckler was out, and I was like, oh man, Eckler's going to be out. We're going to have to call the game differently. We don't have that change of pace back. He's like, guess what? Jerry McNichols is going to come in and get 2 touchdowns, do a bow and arrow. We're going to get this guy going. So Eckler, he might be back this week. So with those 3 guys, I think we need to get Jeremy McNichols a jersey, get him on the field. He cannot be inactive ever again. He needs to be on the field too. But Kliff, sticking to Kliff, Kliff's been in his bag, A++. He took the college offense to heart. He took the Arizona revenge game. So Kliff's in his bag, man. He gets an A+ from me.
He's definitely in his bag, and it looks like they could put one of us in the backfield. He's going to scheme up plays to get us some yards, to get us at least 5 or 6 yards on the play. 96% of fans cannot name you Jeremy McNichols or Olamide Zaccheaus, and those guys went berserk on Sunday versus the Arizona Cardinals. Rico, talk to me about our offensive coordinator.
Man, I'm loving it, man. The highest grade you can give, just like Jayden Daniels, man. I mean, to one of Ed's last points about like how it's only going to get better, you got to remember, man, that like he's putting all of this together on the fly. Like this is a very new team. It's not like we already had the team and then he came over as an offensive coordinator trying to figure it out. No, this is a new offensive lines coach, new passing game coordinator, and Brian Johnson, which also takes me to my next point, that he's doing a great job of blending everybody's ideas. It's not just him. You can tell he's getting feedback from everybody because we're running certain plays where you could tell, oh, the Giants used to run that last year when Bobby Johnson was their offensive lines coach. You're seeing some Jalen Hurts plays that Brian Johnson, I'm assuming, probably drew up for the Eagles last year. Like he's like orchestrating like a beautiful blend of offense to where he's not having a big ego, where it's clearly just Cardinals offense when he was a head coach. He's taking stuff from LSU that worked well with Jayden Daniels. It's a like beautiful blend of this is the right answer at the right time for any situation that we run into. Also, I love the fact that like how much trust he has in his guys, and of course like the trust in Jayden Daniels for a lot of these plays that we've had that are great, especially these 4th downs. I think a lot of them are like read options where Jayden Daniels has just made the right decision to hand it off or keep it himself to run, including one of those touchdowns that he ran for against the Cardinals. But like also, I don't think I'm not sure if everybody's noticed, but even when somebody makes a mistake, I think it was last week, Zach Ertz had that one penalty. He went right back to him like a couple of plays later. No, you get the first down. You the one that got the penalty. You get the first down. Then this week, even though the call was atrocious from the refs, but Olamide had that little celebration off his little first down, you know, behind the line of scrimmage run, like the little sweep or whatever. And then like a couple of plays later, they target him to get the first down through the air. And I just love the fact that like you make a mistake, no, don't weep on it, don't get your head down, you go fix it as soon as possible. And then, you know, you keep that mentality up. Everybody's still pumped up. Everybody's a part of the winning formula. It's not like it's just the Jayden Daniels show or the Brian Robinson show. Everybody is involved. And I'm just loving, I mean, just a few stats. I don't want to go stat crazy.
Go crazy with it, Rico. Go crazy with it. The floor is yours, my boy. The floor is yours.
1991 stat.
Oh, yeah. You know what? We're going to do that first. Watch the Commanders have scored 38+ points in consecutive games for the first time since week 11 and 12, 1991 season. We all know what we finished that season doing with the end goal.
My birth year.
Yes, sir, man.
Good times. Good times.
Great times, man. And also, this is the first time Washington has ever won back-to-back games, both on the road, while scoring 80+ combined points since ever. Literally never. We've never done that in our history of football of being Washington. So again, it's so many stats. We'd be here forever. But I just felt like those were 2 of some of the most important ones to where Kliff Kingsbury is doing things that this franchise, even when we were great, weren't necessarily doing. And so that's what I'm really excited about. Even just to go back to Jayden Daniels real quick, we won 3 Super Bowls in less than 10 years with 3 different quarterbacks. Is this the first time we have that 10, 15+ year quarterback since way back? Like, I mean, we just haven't really had that guy. So I'm really excited. But shouts out to Kliff Kingsbury for putting it all together. Back to Ed's point. I mean, it's next man up. Jeremy McNichols. I mean, nobody wanted this guy for, even when we signed him, we were like, oh, okay, like a nice little West.
We wanted Wiley.
Yeah, I wanted Michael Wiley.
Right.
Yeah. I could admit I wanted Wiley to make the 53.
I said Wiley name to get elevated this week.
Yeah. I think we were all in that boat. And I want to say this real quick too, man. To piggyback off of Ed. The accountability with this staff has been phenomenal. Joe Witt Jr. stepping up every week and saying, I got to make sure they're prepared. That's on me. And Kliff, even the play against Cincinnati, we call a timeout because we couldn't get lined up. We come out of the timeout and we still can't get lined up. Guys are scrambling. And Kliff is like, that's on me. I flipped because Terry came over to him and was like, yo, let me get this one. You know, I got it. Like, give me a go ball. I got it. And so Kliff was like, all right, bet. I'm going to flip the play call to the other side, get you on the boundary by yourself. Mm-hmm. And so the play call was all jacked up. So Jayden had to get everybody lined up. Zach ain't nowhere to go. Luke ain't nowhere to go. He had to get everybody lined up.
Lost.
And
was lost.
He was absolutely lost. He was about to run on the wrong side of the field and everything. And Kliff was like, that's on me. That was my fault because I jacked up the play call, right? And the same thing, like Ed said earlier, against Tampa, he's like, that's the worst call I've ever made in my life. I didn't give him an out. Like, I sent him to the line of scrimmage with one play. They were ready for the play, and there was no check. And so he had to go make me right. So I love the accountability. Somebody said to me last night, the two best play callers in the league right now are Kliff Kingsbury and Ben Johnson. And I don't necessarily disagree with that.
I don't necessarily disagree with it either. And he entrusts his young quarterback to, even if he's not able to communicate it to him, to still go out there and execute. And those are two things we have not seen here in quite some time. Our offensive coordinator and our quarterback are getting absolutely busy. We can convert 3rd and longs, 4th and long, 2nd and long. We haven't missed a 4th down conversion yet. It looks like Madden for this offense right now. And none of this would be possible if our O-line played like it did last year. So it's time to give some credit to the big boy. Before I do that, Robert Snyder said, I watch all of y'all because you put in the work, 25 for each of you for your content. That's some love. I'm going to try to get to as many super chats as possible, but we got to keep this thing rolling. Appreciate every one of y'all in the building. We got over 900 right now. Smash that like button on this stream. But OG Bobby Johnson, or OL Bobby Johnson, whatever you want to call him, we heard that he had a stench on him when he came here, when we brought him over for the Giant. Everybody felt the same way. We were just gushing about all of the coaching hires, and then there was Bobby Johnson. It was just like, yay, and then it was like, oh my God, Anthony Lynn, oh my God, Jason Simmons, Kid Norton Jr., and then what are we doing at the offensive line? Oh my God, I don't imagine Dan Quinn would hire a bum on his staff, because one of the main things that came with Dan Quinn was that he has so many relationships built in this league that he will be able to hire whoever he wants to fill out his staff here. And Bobby Johnson has our offensive line smoking right now. They are winning in the run game. They're winning in the pass game. We are dual wielding left tackles. We're dual wielding. We're running a 2 left tackle system. I don't know if I've ever heard of that ever done. 37 snaps to 35, and it's working. Andrew
Don't
Wiley.
Forget the third one that's catching touchdown passes too.
Oh yeah, Trent Scott, dog. He's coming in this joint. He's catching touchdowns. He getting nimble in the end zone. Man, this offensive line, I can talk about it all day. Our new additions: Tyler Biotish in the middle, Nick Allegretti. Hope he's fine, by the way. Sam Cosmi got the bag for a reason, and dare I say, Andrew Wiley has survived fan hatred and is turning a new leaf. Andrew Wiley getting nasty on Sundays now. Talk about the job of Bobby Johnson in this offensive line, starting with Rico.
I mean, Adam Peters just doesn't miss. I mean, if you just think about this whole setup of, like, to your point, that the Bobby Johnson hire was kind of, I mean, it didn't deflate our steam that we had, but it was like, oh, we got Anthony Lynn, we got this guy, we got this guy, we got the GM, we got the, let's go. And then we hear about the Bobby Johnson. We're like, I guess we'll see about that, I guess. See what's going on over there, what they thought about that one. But, when in doubt, and Adam Peters we trust. That's how we all felt. It was like, we'll just wait and see. Now, I think it's only 4 games to the season, but it definitively looks like the best idea. Because the fact that we got to remember there are 3 new pieces here as well, on top of the quarterback being new, and that's just already a thing. You can have the same offensive line as the previous season. You change quarterbacks, that can even mess up some things. But I mean, new center, new left guard, new entire left side again. We're going half and half with this with two different left tackles out there, and they're both coming out and performing well. I mean, and again, Adam Peters just doesn't miss because everybody was so upset. And I mean, admittedly, I like Brandon Coleman's talent coming out of the draft, but waiting until the third round after you just took your franchise quarterback in the first round, I'm like, are we not taking this seriously enough? And even though he hasn't started a full game yet, he looks great. The way he handled Trey Hendrickson every play except for the Trey Hendrickson when he beat him that one time for the sack,
and then the double.
And then the Cardinals game was his best game yet, which just shows that he's steadily getting better and better and better. And shouts out to whoever's call this is to keep splitting it, because I was like, just go ahead and throw Brandon Coleman out there immediately. But I feel like this slow development, with how much better he's getting every week, it's clearly the right idea. So the way the offensive line is being managed right now, the only reason I'm not entirely too surprised by Andrew Wiley right now is just because he looked really good to end the season, but we were just so sick of this team with as much losing we would do. A lot of us didn't really necessarily pay attention, but Samuel Cosme was like an all-pro. Yeah, we didn't want to hear that because they were still allowing sacks, but it got to a point where it went from the offensive line's fault to Sam Howell's fault at the end of the season. So, still allowing sacks, we're blaming the offensive line. But, like, Samuel Cosme looked like an all-pro from, like, November on. And then Andrew Wiley to his right side looks pretty good. I would dare say above average. That's what we were talking about during the offseason. And it seems like it took a game or two because those first 2 weeks, Andrew Wiley was starting to look a little Andrew Wiley-ish again. But these last 2 weeks, he's gotten it down. And this offensive line is beautiful right now. Pass protection wise, Jayden Daniels has all day, but even just run game wise, it's amazing. And I don't know if Bobby Johnson has anything to do with how our running backs and receivers and tight ends are blocking as well right now, but that was clearly a point of emphasis because week 2 against the Giants, Terry was whiffing on like screen passes to like Luke McCaffrey and Olamide. Terry wouldn't block, or when they threw a screen pass to Terry, the other receivers wouldn't block. Like the perimeter blocking was atrocious the first 2 weeks, and now it's excellent. You even saw Brian Robinson as a lead blocker for Jayden Daniels. That has been a clear, like, real point of emphasis for this team. I'm just gonna, I don't know exactly, but I'm gonna give Bobby Johnson some credit there as well.
Hell yeah, because I ain't never seen us have backs and receivers blocking like this. Like them boys is this Bobby Johnson. It feels like all the time that we cannot tackle in practice, they had them boys blocking because Luke McCaffrey, Terry, them boys is blocking right now. And I can see, now that I see the vision coming to light, I can see how they looked at Jahan Dotson like, get this shit off my roster. Don't get this
Exactly.
off my roster.
Exactly.
He is not blocking a damn corner or safety on Sunday. Like Terry will come up and clip a defensive end. Jahan was never going to do that shit on a Sunday afternoon. Lou, talk to me about the job Bobby Johnson's doing with this whole line.
Man, it's been refreshing to see all of this kind of come together. Now, I will say, winning, it helps everything. Like some of the blocking you're talking about on the perimeter, when you winning and everybody's getting a piece of the action, it makes you want to go out and do your job even more. It's nice. And I know it wasn't a bunch of snaps, maybe like 3 snaps or so, but did anybody even notice Nick Allegretti came out of the game and Michael Dieter came in? I didn't. Not until after the game was over and realized
I didn't until chat told me. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you.
Yeah, I had no idea he got injured and came out of the game. And then we scored a touchdown, and obviously that was our last possession. But it's that kind of interchangeable, mindset of having guys that can come in and get it done. Cowboys fans told me, man, look, we're 4 games in, so we'll see. But Tyler Biadasz has been fan-effing-tastic. He's been worth the price of admission. Nick Allegretti has come over here, had never started before in this league, had only been a platoon guy in Kansas City. He's been fantastic, and I think he's one of those dudes that kind of changes the demeanor of this team, man. He's one of those guys, comes over from Kansas City, knows what winning looks like. Yeah. I think he's instilled us with a different mindset along that offensive line. Wiley, same thing, came from Kansas City, knows what winning looks like. And, I said this, I was joking after the Cincinnati game. It's not often that Andrew Wiley can allow me to forget that he was even on the field. Like, it's not many games that we watch and you don't have one of those moments where you look and there's instant pressure and it's off the right side. And like, God damn, Andrew, again? Right? It was none of that, right? The last 2 weeks, we have none of that. There's been no Andrew Wiley, standard penalty for holding or false start or none of that. I mean, I've watched this offensive line grow, and I always felt, even last year, I felt like we could run the ball, right? I thought the offensive line was more built to run the football than it was to pass block, and we didn't play to our strengths. So I'm not shocked that they're run blocking really well. I'm not. And, you add the pieces in that they've added, and I love the fact that they're being showered with praise. I'm going to just leave it on this, and I'll let y'all go, man. It warmed my heart to hear a national pundit, and I could tell they really didn't know, right? But somebody said the Washington Commanders' offensive line is underrated. I said, I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna just, and when I heard that, I said, now, it's crazy because you hear that Jayden has a better supporting cast than Caleb, right? I know y'all heard that.
The script has been flipped upside down.
He got a better offensive line than Caleb all of a sudden, too. I'm like,
weapons.
This is beautiful, man. I don't want it to end, man. I don't want it to end. Shout out to O-line Bobby Johnson, man. Hell of a job, and this group has gotten it done, and I couldn't be more proud of them. Now, don't get it twisted. I still probably want to draft the offensive lineman pretty early in the draft next year, right? A tackle in particular. But for the job that they've turned in these first 4 weeks, I couldn't have imagined that it would be this clean, this quickly, and I want to see more of it moving forward.
Absolutely. And, man, they're doing so good. Bears fans have flipped the script. Rico, what's good?
Just to that point right there. All right, I have a stat for that. Okay. When not under pressure, Caleb Williams has a 68.2 completion percentage to Jayden Daniels 86.7%. And this is before week 4 as well. He has a 74.2 rating. Jayden Daniels has a 103.6. Up to that point, Jayden Daniels with no pressure has 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Caleb Williams, not under pressure, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. So, I mean, our O-line is better, but even when he's not pressured, he's still making mistakes.
Too much nail polish.
It's the nail polish. Oh no, my man Ed said it's the nail polish. Go ahead and take it from there, Ed. Talk to me about the offensive line.
Yeah, OG Bobby Johnson.
Hold on. Right before Ed start, I just wanted to point out the difference in pass stream. I know things are different because Ed ain't injury jinxed or fumble jinxed the player.
Nothing, man. It's
where's
different.
The guy who comments I'm about to be asleep every time the guy's not in here.
New beginnings. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah.
But no, OG Bobby Johnson's in his bag, man. That was the most disliked coaching hire, I think, from the whole fan base. I think we all agree on that. What happened with the Giants with Evan Neal, he was awful, and all the other guys, whatever. But OG Bobby Johnson's done a great job. I mean, Rico brought up the other guys, just wide receivers, running backs. Look at Jeremy McNichols. He took a guy out on that 3rd and 7 bomb touchdown to Terry McLaurin. That was huge on his part. Tyler Biadasz did a great job against Dexter Lawrence. How many years for the past 4 years we've seen Dexter Lawrence just torment our whole offensive line with Nick Gates last year? That was a huge difference, upgrading to Tyler Biadasz there. Allegretti stepping in, and then Brandon Coleman versus Trey Hendrickson. Everybody's talking about, we're going to have to double Trey Hendrickson, and Brandon Coleman is standing him up, putting him in the dirt.
Got it.
So I mean, we got guys doing that. Cornelius Lucas stepping up. I was concerned about the left side, and we're going to be rotating a rookie in Cornelius Lucas. And Wiley in an interview, he said this is the most fun he's ever had playing football. He played football in Kansas City and won the Super Bowl. For him to say that,
has anyone said
crazy.
That here before? Oh,
right. This is wild, man. Everybody, you can tell they having fun and they love playing with one another, man.
It's real life.
Yeah, they're having fun, and they're playing smash mouth football. Like Lou said, we're playing to our strengths. We're running the football on the Giants. Even the Bengals game, like, we didn't stop running the ball. I mean, B-Rob wasn't getting a lot of yards. Eckler was hitting the home runs, but even though B-Rob, he had like 18, 19 carries, he only had 30 yards, but we still kept running the football, just wearing the defensive line down. That's what matters. And OG Bobby Johnson with Kliff Kingsbury, he's done a great job. Development. Brandon Coleman's getting better each game. I mean, I know PFF isn't gospel, but we had 3 guys in the top 10. I think it was Lucas, Brandon Coleman on against the Cardinals. Lucas, Brandon Coleman, and I think it was either Cosme or Wiley. They were all like in the top 10 PFF. Like Trent Williams was in there, Orlando Brown, all those guys. They were up there with all the best tackles and offensive linemen in the game. And Jayden, he had a lot of time to throw against the Cardinals. Like he was sitting back there a little bit. He had time to throw, and that's something we didn't see last year a lot. He's gotten a lot of time. The design runs, the first and goal on the Cardinals 9 for the design run for Jayden. Noah Brown was getting in the mix. Like Brian Baldinger, he's getting hyped, talking about I forgot what kind of blocks, but he was calling them, but he had like a name for it. I forgot what he said. But Noah Brown was in the mix. Cosme was in the mix. Clear that path for Jayden Daniels to get a touchdown. So Bobby, he gets an A for me, man. He's probably the biggest surprise to me too. Honestly, the offensive line is probably the biggest surprise for me, and they were probably the biggest concern for me coming in, other than the secondary. But Bobby Johnson is probably the biggest surprise for me out of the whole coaching staff. He gets an A, almost. I give him A plus too. Honestly, why not?
We're playing grown ass man football right now, and it starts up front. Man, we giving out all these A's and flying colors. It is a new day. We done a few of these streams right here, and ain't none of them in season. We do the optimism shit in the off season because know everybody's glasses can be burgundy tinted when there's no games to humble you. But we're a month into the season. Just to close out the offensive side of the ball, I'm gonna combine and create a 3-headed monster between running backs, tight ends, and wide receivers. Jayden's weaponry. Let's talk about the weaponry and let's rate our weapons on offensive side to close out the O, starting with Rico. Grade them.
I mean, it's hard to say A plus, but they've been balling. I mean, I gotta at least say A. And just shouts out to Adam Peters, because at the end of the day, basically it didn't go down exactly like this, but essentially we had traded Jahan Dotson for Olamide Zaccheaus and a 3rd round pick. And Olamide Zaccheaus got more receiving yards in that game against the Cardinals than Jahan has all season so far. Mm-hmm. So that's just elite stuff there. Terry Matters, that's wonderful. I mean, I know us as a fan base have been waiting a long time. And yeah, we've been waiting longer than Terry McLaurin, but he's been putting blood, sweat, and tears into this for the past, 6-7 years. I immediately, as we started putting up a lot of points, especially in that Bengals game, the first thing I was happy for, not even for myself, but for Terry McLaurin, because I know we're going to talk about Devontae Adams a little later, but he's never pouted. He's hyped up every quarterback. Now, granted, it has been different. The way he's talked about Jayden has seemed more genuine. Even in the offseason before the season started, it was a little bit more genuine praise. It was like specific things, not I believe in him, he can get me the ball. It was like very specific. This quarterback is going to be good. But no matter who was throwing on the ball, he hyped them up. And he's been basically going with this the whole way through and stride and everything. I'm so happy. And then just real quick, Austin Eckler. I can't wait to get him back, even though Jeremy McNichols stepped up big time. But what he's doing on special teams, I mean, the kick return that got called back against the Giants, that holding penalty, I don't even think it had an effect on Austin Eckler's return for the touchdown. It was just something super petty, unnecessary out the way of the play. And then he put us in great field goal range again against the Bengals, shortly before he got hurt. I mean, this guy in the return game alone, his impact, if all he was our kick returner, I would be happy with this free agent signing. But then what he's doing on offense, pass protection wise, to y'all points again, like how everybody's blocking, the Jeremy McNichols even comes in. I mean, he's not even probably expecting the play, comes in fourth quarter game sealing throw to basically WWE move a linebacker blitzing. And it was smart for him to pick up the linebacker instead of the corner that ended up hitting Jayden, because the corner has to go a further route. So if he picks up that corner instead of the linebacker, Jayden doesn't get that off to Terry. And it's just like a heads up play like that from everybody blocking, the receivers, the tight. I mean, Ben Sinnott has been blocking his tail off. John Bates was the lead blocker to a few of those big runs we had against the Cardinals. So there's so many things we can say. I don't want to take all of them, but the blocking from this position group, the running back, tight ends, wide receivers, that's my main takeaway so far.
I love that. I love that take, because it shows that they're buying into the program and they're unselfish guys. They're not being divas. Oh, I'm a running back. Oh, I'm a wide receiver. I don't want to block. No, guys are sticking their helmet in there. Guys are being physical. Dan Quinn and Joe Witt, they want a physical football team. And I like to see that our finesse players are actually doing it. I believe my favorite thing about this team so far is we're getting leaders at different positions each week. Like from wide receiver, I believe we've had a different leading receiver every week of the season. Week 1, who was it? We didn't get nothing from the receiver. What was it? Luke McCaffrey. Week 2, Noah Brown. Week 3, Terry McLaurin. Week 4, Olamide Zaccheaus. Week 1, rushing yards, Jayden Daniels. Week 2, Brian Robinson. Week 3, we're getting different leaders and new achievements each week. Austin Eckler was more effective through the ground versus the Bengals, and then we pull up. We go down Austin Eckler. We throw Jeremy McNichols into a game, and he goes for 70, 2 touchdowns, and made it look easy. He's toe tapping down the sideline. We're watching the tight ends. Zach Ertz has turned back the clock a little bit. He's on pace for over 700 yards this year. John Bates, a lot of people are calling him the best inline blocker in the league at the tight end position. Logan Paulson said it. I believe Zach Ertz said it. A lot of people have said it. And he can even be depended on to throw the ball to every here and there. And we haven't, like Lou said, we haven't even unleashed the Ben Sinnott package yet. He's getting all of his work in blocking and on special teams, because special teams do matter. If there's any team in this league that knows that, it's us. It's the team that traded for a long snapper that could not snap the ball. That's right. It is the Washington Command, and a team that had 5 kickers in one offseason. You about to say something, Rico?
Yeah, and before we also move on, Luke McCaffrey, to your point about like Ben Sinnott about to blow up, I really think Luke McCaffrey is about to start making a play. Because first of all, that catch last game was really clutch, and it was a great throw from Jayden, but it was like out of reach, and that may have been his first target all game. For him to bring that in at that point was amazing. But also statistically, I think he's 4th right now in the NFL out of all receivers and separation rate per route run or something like that, something crazy. And so I feel like it's only a matter of time before he starts to have his breakout game, because he is consistently open. And I know you can say, yeah, Terry McLaurin is the one being covered by the number 1 corner of every team. There's 32 teams out there. There's a lot of receivers not being covered by number 1 corners every week. And for Luke McCaffrey to be 4th or 5th in separation rate right now, I think it's only a matter of time for him. And remember, in the offseason, he was working with Anthony Lynn to start, taking handoffs out of the backfield. I think Kliff Kingsbury, he's had struggles second half of seasons. I think that's probably one of the players that we're kind of keeping in the refrigerator. Once they start to counterpunch the other things we got going on, I think that's when Luke McCaffrey will start to ball out.
Hell yeah. And Luke McCaffrey, he just sounds like a pro's pro. If y'all heard his interview, I believe it was on Grant and Danny or one of those shows yesterday, I listened to his interview. He just sounds like a pro. I always say, because I watched some documentaries on how easy Ed McCaffrey is. McCaffrey, he didn't raise sons, he raised professional athletes. And I would see stories about him pulling them out of school to give them IVs to go work out and shit. And I can see it when I see Christian McCaffrey, who overworks the hell out of himself, and Luke McCaffrey, who's a pro's pro. They had to ask him some non-football questions so they could loosen him up a little bit. That guy is just, he's a pro, man. And I really like what I've seen. We don't have many big names on the offensive side of the ball, but we're making it work, and this thing is churning right. I am happy with what I'm getting from our weapons. And I'm going to go to Ed now. Our weaponry, wide receiver, tight end, running back.
Rico, you gave him a grade. What grade did you give him? I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I gave A. I just feel like if Jayden and Kingsbury are doing what they're doing, A pluses. I feel like
everybody gets an A today. Everybody on the offensive side of the ball gets an A. It's easy.
Yeah, I give him an A too. Ben Sinnott, he's a work in progress. He hasn't been unleashed yet. I think they've all cleaned up some of the penalties. Like Ben Sinnott had a false start in the red zone against the Giants. They cleaned that up. It's so crazy how the first week, like everybody was like, oh my, we had the same conversation that we have every year. Is Terry a number 1? Is he elite? Is he top 20, 15, whatever? So we had that phase. I'm happy we got that phase out the way. Him and Jayden are connecting now. It was just one pass away. All they had to do, if he would have connected in that Tampa Bay game, I think we wouldn't have had a conversation like that. But that's done. That's out the way. Other guys are stepping up. Noah Brown, he looks the part. We needed a physical receiver. He's bringing that juice. He's blocking, forced a pass interference. And it's not always about numbers. Like, he's getting open. Olamide Zaccheaus, I'm able to pronounce his name because he's catching the football so much. 6 catches for 85 yards. He's been a big signing. I got a number for you too, Rico. He's ranked 2nd in yards after catch per reception, minimum of 10 yards. minimum of 10 targets through the season. So he's doing this thing out there.
Yeah.
Luke's getting better. Like you said, he's top 5 in separation right now, top 10, top 5. Diami, he's trying, had a couple screens against the Bengals. Luke brought that up. So everybody's playing their part some way, somehow. Terry scoring in the red zone. And no yak Zach, he's a first down machine. He's a first down machine. 4th and 4 first down. Giants game got a couple first downs. They're all blocking. John Bates is in the mix too. Running backs get an A+ to me. B-Rob, he's a dog. Eckler's a dog. McNichols is a dog too. I didn't expect him to break out like that. And B-Rob, the only thing about him is just the breakaway speed. When he had that long run against the Giants where we didn't score a touchdown the whole game, he had the 3rd and 1, he broke out. He actually ran 20 miles an hour, but I do feel like, hey, you got to finish that, man. That should have been a touchdown.
I feel like that clock might have been capped, man. 20 miles per hour for B-Rob, man.
He might have got to a Dubsky there, man. It's just I don't know.
It had to have been at the point that he was falling, like that little burst of energy falling forward, man.
It was the inertia of all that body moving down the field.
that should have been a tutty, but if it was Eckler, he would have got in there. Eckler got in there against the Bengals, but yeah, I give them an A. I think they're a great committee right now. I think they got good chemistry. They're all playing well together, and it's not always about having big names. I know we'll get to that later, but I think they're playing like a committee right now. You don't know who's going to step up other than Terry. Terry's going to get his targets, and I think Kliff knows how to get him the ball too. I know the whole conversation about lining him up on one side, all that stuff. That happened in the Buccaneers game. The screen passes that didn't work. That's not Terry's forte, throwing him screen passes. He's a contested catch guy, and Jayden started trusting more and throwing up there for him. But yeah, the wide receivers, they get an A for me. Tight ends, Zach Ertz has been balling. Benson is going to wake up. He's going to get going soon. And the running backs have been great. I mean, B-Rob had 100 yards rushing, and he's on pace to get 1,000 yards, of course. And Eckler, a lot of people are saying, I've heard some rumors that Eckler should be back. But even if he's not back, it's like, hey, we got guys. We got guys that can get it done. So they all get an A for me too.
Hell yeah. Take that, Mina Kimes.
and even to your point, Ed, I have a question for everybody because I don't know the answer. As soon as you said it, it made me think of it. So Terry being on the side, like on that same side, like 90-something% of the time, and for him to finally end up on the other side, he had to ask for it. Is Kliff Kingsbury doing that so it's easier for Jayden Daniels to to know exactly what the offense is doing? He knows every play. Terry's to my left, far wide, or is that just a Kliff Kingsbury preference? Because I honestly do not know.
I think that's just what he do. Because
but Kliff, it's simplifying the offense. When guys aren't moving around and you don't have to worry, so when you call specific plays, it's guys are in certain spots based off the terminology, and if you move them around, then it changes the way you spit out plays and things of that nature. So you make it easier. One of the things that we struggled with Eric Bieniemy was it was complex, right? Mm-hmm. We've heard them say that on defense too when they were playing for Jack Del Rio. It's too much. We doing too much. That's why you see those coverage busts. You even heard Joe Witt Jr. say we're not gonna simplify it, but we are gonna condense what we're asking them to do. Right? We're gonna limit is because we don't want them thinking. If you want them to play fast, you don't want them thinking. And so Kliff's offense allows you. Even Terry said this in the summertime. Like Kliff's offense is simple. Right? It's easy for us to just go out and play. We don't have to be thinking as much. We just go out and play. And I think that's why you don't see as much pre-snap shifts and motions and things like that. We get the motion to see if they're in man or zone, right? But it's not a lot of, Sean McVay, guy going this way, come back this way, short motion. And the Miami Dolphins, they start over here, and 4 guys run to the other side of the formation, and Tyreek Hill looked like he hiding behind the offensive line. It ain't none of that shit going on.
None of it.
Because it's easier. I mean, look at if you saw Huntley last night for the Dolphins, it was too much. They had like 4, pre-snap shift penalties, illegal shift, because 2 dudes moving, and he's just not used to all of that movement. And so Kliff's offense allows you to not have to do as much of that.
Mm-hmm. And while you're here, go ahead and take us home on our weapons. Running back, tight end, wide receiver through the first 4 weeks, Lou.
So I'm going to take a different approach on this and talk about the coaching staff, because one of the things I was most excited about before we even went free agent shopping, before we went into the draft, I was excited about the staff that they had put together. It felt like an all-star cast of coaches that we had been one of the worst coaching staffs for so long. Like nobody was poaching coaches from our staff. Nobody cared about the coaches that we had assembled. We didn't have teachers. We didn't have guys that put players in positions to be successful. And Zach Ertz said, I came here because of Kliff Kingsbury. I wanted to finish my career with Kliff. Like, that's the kind of staff that we have. The guys believe in the coaching staff. Rico brought up Anthony Lynn. He's been a godsend. You want to know why the run game is so impactful? Anthony Lynn, wherever he goes, or it might have been Ed who said that. One of y'all said that. And it wherever Anthony Lynn goes, successful run game follows, right? Yep. Brian Johnson did a really good job with Jalen Hurts in 2022. And then he got a pretty rough rap last year because of how the season finished. But the dude knows how to coach quarterbacks. Instead of have him be, a pseudo quarterback coach, but be the offensive pass game coordinator. Like I said this in the offseason. When is the last time we had an offensive pass game coordinator? Not the offensive line coach doubling as the run game coordinator, right?
Right.
I'm talking about a guy that's actually the run game coordinator or the offensive pass game coordinator, or a guy like Jason Simmons coming over and being the defensive pass game coordinator. Like, I got to give a lot of credit to David Rye, the tight ends coach. I got to give a lot of credit to O-line Bobby Johnson, the offensive line coach. I got to give a lot of credit to Bobby Ingram, the wide receiver coach. He was here last year. The wide receivers were shit last year. Awful. If you ask anybody, same coach, different, group of guys, but nobody, look, all offseason, people wanted to trade for this guy and that guy. Go get Brandon Ayuk, go get Devontae Adams, right? And I heard this from people inside the fan base, people outside the fan base. They don't have enough around Jayden Daniels, right? They don't have enough around him, whether it's tight end, whether it's running back, whether it's wide receiver. They don't have enough. Well, I've always been a proponent of the best coaches get the most out of what they're given, no matter what it is, right? Whether it's a little, whether it's a lot, they know how to get the most out of the talent that they do have, right? And this staff has done a masterful job of utilizing the guys that they have, utilizing their skill set, putting them in positions. Like De'Ami Brown is the best wide receiver screen receiver that we have. If we're throwing a wide receiver screen, throw it to number 2. That's how I feel, right? And so they're taking the guys that do the things the best and putting them in those positions. You talked about blocking. You won't find better blockers right now at the tight end position in unison than Ben Sinnott and John Bates, right? Those guys are killing it on the edges, which is allowing a lot of these runs to pop. Ertz, like you said, turning the clock back, making big plays, showing up and getting it done. And then the receivers, like you said, it's a new guy every week. Noah Brown got here, essentially right before the season started, right? And literally didn't play in the first game of the season, right? So he literally showed up week 2, and look at what Noah Brown has been for this offense. The first game, he was super impactful against the Giants. We don't win that game without Noah Brown. And again, that's all about coaching. And if you look at how the coaches interact with the players and the reverence that they have for the staff, like, it's the environment, and it starts with DQ. It's the environment that he sets. And I remember him saying in the offseason, before we even started talking about plays, everybody had to get to know one another. We didn't talk about football for the first 2 days of OTAs, because all we were talking about is, hey, get to know your coaches and get to know these players around you, right? Because that's going to be that's the brotherhood. That's going to be the guys that's going to help you get it done. And you're seeing about a byproduct of that, man. And I love it. I mean, I listened to Brian Robinson Jr. mic'd up on the sideline, and you see the energy on the sidelines. You see the love from the coaches. I watched Aaron Rodgers push Robert Saleh away from him as he walked off the field after he was excited for a touchdown. And Aaron Rodgers told him, no, it's too soon. Like, don't hug me, bro. I don't even like you like that. Like, that's the kind of energy that they got going on. Our coach is picking up our star wide receiver and giving him a bear hug.
Pick that man up like Simba.
Like, I mean, it's that kind of love on the sidelines, man. And
Even the fact that Kingsbury went to, like, I think it was Nick Allegretti after
yeah,
like a great play that we had. Like,
yep,
we're making sure the offensive linemen feel
yep.
appreciated too.
That's right. That's right. It's I gotta give credit to the staff because they've done a masterful job with the talent. Look, we know this is not a finished product. Okay. We will
Very,
well aware.
very far from it. Yep.
Far from a finished product, but yet the results that we're yielding have been through the roof. And yes, a large part of it is because of number 5, but it's also a testament to this coaching staff. So this group, the tight ends, backs, and receivers combined have been really good. They've been a really good group to this point. And like you said, Rio, the unselfishness is the big. This is why I'm a little nervous about bringing in a guy like Devontae Adams, right? Because he's selfish, and he's admitted that he's selfish, and his comments are selfish. How many dudes gonna go request a trade after a win? They 2-2.
Oh, he already checked out by then, man. He already when he pulled the hamstring. As soon as I heard the hamstring, I said, "Oh no, that's his signing. That's his calling
It's
card.
a business
Yeah.
decision.
That is his calling card. Oh, he's out of there. He is. Out. He heard that business decision comment from Antonio Pierce and said, "See ya."
Yeah, it's that's crazy to me, man. Terry is the epitome of what you're looking for in terms of a star receiver. Because even on Monday night, going into that Bengals game, Lisa Salters was the sideline reporter, and she said she talked to Terry McLaurin, and she said, "I gotta be patient, and I've been patient, and I'm gonna continue to be patient because he knew that it was bubbling, but he also said me." Wanting the football and making a big deal about it is not going to help this young quarterback get to where he needs to be. And so how many star receivers are willing to have that kind of patience with a young quarterback? It's not many, man. These dudes want the football and they don't give a damn what they got to do to try to get it. I watched CeeDee Lamb have the audacity to throw a temper tantrum. You fumbled, bruh. You just fumbled the ball and you got the nerve to be over here throwing a hissy fit. Like, we're so blessed. We're so blessed, man. But I love what the skill position guys are doing, and I love what the staff is doing even more so.
Yep, and that will close the door on the offensive side of the ball. It's been all hunky-dory. It's been sunshine, rainbows, the whole nine. And now we got to talk about the defensive side of the ball. They finally got it together on Sunday versus the Arizona Cardinals, but it's going to be a little more critical. It's not going to be as straightforward in black and white as these offensive evaluations. But we can start first with the conductor, Joe Witt Jr. We've heard all the press conferences. We heard it. We know it's going to take time. He's inheriting a lot of Jack Del Rio's and Ron Rivera's tendencies that he got to coach out of players. We don't necessarily have all the pieces we need on that side of the ball yet, but there's been a lot of bad on the defensive side of the ball, and we do have to talk about it. I know we feeling good right now. We looked phenomenal versus the Cardinals on Sunday, but starting with Joe Witt Jr., how would y'all evaluate him through 4 weeks, and how much of the percentage of Washington's shortcomings of the defensive side of the ball is him versus the personnel? I'll start with Rico.
All right, for me, it's kind of hard, especially like grade-wise. It's hard to give like an exact grade. I feel like it's incomplete because, to your point, I feel like we don't have the guys that he wants just yet. Because my main point is that you saw, like, against the Buccaneers and even at times against the Giants, he really wants to like run a man cover. Like, you guard that receiver, you guard that receiver, you guard that receiver, and then the other 7-8 guys, who knows what they're going to do any play. We might blitz them, we might send them back zone to help, but he wants to get really creative. He wants to run a really strong, aggressive man cover team, kind of like how they had with the Cowboys last year. And I love what's going on right now because more people were saying that Dan Quinn and Joe Jr. would miss the Cowboys defense. Looks like the Cowboys defense missed them more than anything else. But my main point is, though, is that they don't have the guys that they want to run the defense they want to run. It seems like every game, at least for a little bit, they try it. Like, okay, this week, are y'all ready to do what we want y'all to do? Okay, nope. So we're going to adjust. We're going to switch to more of like a soft zone scheme. And now granted, I do want to also give them a little bit of credit for the fact that these guys are playing harder and faster. You can tell that they're making adjustments. Like, it hasn't been the most productive adjustments, but you can't say they're not trying. Like Deron Payne playing edge rusher for like 8 snaps against the Bengals. Like, they're just literally digging like, yo, what anything, please.
Throwing shit at the wall, something, please.
Yeah, Mike Sainristil was just starting slot corner for the first 2 weeks. Then he's just starting outside corner the third week. Noah Igbinoghene goes from slot to the out. Yeah, that was bad.
That was crazy. That was crazy.
Like with Joey Jr., I've questioned plays, but I haven't necessarily questioned game plans. Like there's some plays like the Jamar Chase one, like why is the safety not there to help? Why do we have Mike Sainristil, a rookie, on him, like press coverage, like the whole way down and things like that? But like I haven't questioned game plans. You can tell that there's like a okay, this didn't work. Let's try this, but let's not get away from it too fast. Let's give you opportunities. Let's not just say after one play, this is a failure, never run it again. We're gonna try it again, but we're gonna try to, like, at the same time, we're gonna try to get better, but we're also gonna try to win the game. And sometimes it's hard to do both of those at the same time. And I feel like he's doing a decent job of managing that. I'm not gonna say and act like he's an A defensive coordinator right now. I think when we have the pieces, we'll start to feel like he's an AA plus defensive coordinator. But right now, I would give him somewhat of like a low B, for at least they're really, really trying. They just don't have the guys.
They just don't have the bodies yet. I agree on that one. Joe Witt. I said Ed Witt Jr. I don't know. Joe Witt Jr. Man, talk to me about our DC.
No, I think Street, he hit the nail on the head with the combination of the personnel. I think he's trying to learn the defense, like putting Mikey Sainristil on the outside, learning that Michael Davis, he basically had to bench Michael Davis. Like Neighbors, it was just too much. I don't think he put guys really in the best situation with Neighbors too. I think he should have kept Ben St. Juste on him the whole game, or just try to take him out of the game. I know it's tough with Wan'Dale Robinson, who's good for the Giants too, but I thought he could have did a better job on Malik. After Malik got 5 catches, I think you got to switch it up, and he did put Ben St. Juste on him a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, they haven't been violent like he preached all summer. Some of that is personnel. The tackling was bad. Bobby Wagner looked like he was still in the preseason, the first 2 games of the Buccaneers game. Tackling was atrocious. Jeremy Chin has really improved. So the personnel is getting better. Emmanuel Forbes didn't get a penalty or a double face mask and penalty in the game on Sunday. So there's improvements a little bit with the personnel there, and they're flying
and the
around.
run fit. Shouts out to him at the edge too.
I think he's just one of the personnel more. Like Noah I is getting more snaps. Noah I he had a big pass break on a third down on Michael Wilson, I believe. And they're starting to force a little bit of turnovers here and there. Ben St. Juste forced a turn. Ball is life. We didn't see any ball was life or anything like that the first game of the season or the first half against the Giants until we got that Ben St. Juste turnover. So I think he's starting to find a formula and to be a little bit better than just bend, don't break. We're actually getting stops on Kyler, the pass rush, like Dorrance Armstrong's waking up. They're getting a pass rush now. And I think a lot of the tackling was huge because if they would have just wrapped up Baker once or twice or 3 times more, it's a lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda. Maybe that game would have went a little bit different because they were getting pressure on Baker. John Allen was getting back there. Deron was getting back there. They just weren't tackling. So we're starting to tackle now. Deron Payne tackled Kyler Murray. John Allen tackled Kyler Murray. Dorrance got 2 sacks on him. So we're starting to tackle and wrap up and do some of the things that he's preaching. Cleveland Farrell, when he comes back, I'm surprised to say Cleveland Farrell was like, man, I want Cleveland Farrell to be out there too. Anybody that can tackle, I want them out there. Jordan McGee hasn't played yet. They have big plans for him. So maybe that's a big impact to the defense that they're waiting on seeing there. But yeah, I think just a lot of it is the personnel. They don't have the Joes just yet. And then Noah, like I said, Noah I is improving, but I think a lot of it was on Joe Witt Jr. to start off, but I think they're starting to gel. The run defense, yes, it has to improve. They got to improve with the run defense. Johnny Newton's getting there, so he had to wait on Johnny Newton to kind of get there a little bit. Is he really 100% healthy yet? Watching him, it still looks like he's still kind of getting there. He's kind of getting there with his feet and whatnot. But I give Joe a C+. I give him a C+ only because of the violence talk and the ball is life talk. That's why my grade is pretty low for him, especially when you look at if we want to get numbers with the offense, we got to talk about numbers with the defense too. We're about 30th with passing, pass defense, probably bottom 10 with run defense, third down conversions, and third down conversions was huge against the Cardinals. I think they went 4 for 11, which is just insane. We don't stop people on third downs. That's something we did against Kyler Murray. We kept Marvin Harrison in check too. Like, he only had 45 yards. Marvin Harrison was supposed to go out there and get 100 yards on Sunday. He only ended up with 45 yards. So that was a huge improvement there. So I think the formula right now is to keep a team to 20 points. If we can keep them around 20, I say 23-20. If we keep a team to 23, we can win the game, because the offense should put up about 25, 28 points.
That's still so much points that we have to.
I know it's weird to say that. It really,
3+ touchdown.
It's really weird. I think if we can hold a team that's, I'm being serious. I know we are, but if we can hold a team to 23, that's a winnable game. So before we would have to hold a team to like 14, it had to be an ugly 17-14 kind of game. But yeah, I give Joe a C+ only because of the violence talk. We haven't seen it yet. We're starting to see it with Louisville. We're starting to get there. Slowly, we're getting there. But then I give him a little bit of a pass because of the Ron Rivera draft picks that he had to deal with and whatnot, and just getting through that. And Jamin's trying too. Like, he's trying. He's trying out there. He's not getting a lot of snaps, but they try to make it work with Jamin. He's giving effort out there. So that's all I can really ask from Jamin Davis at this point. Same thing with Forbes. As long as we don't see your number called for a flag, or you getting big body and stuff like that, that's all we can ask for Forbes. So yeah, he's making it work with the ingredients that he has. Then when we have one draft and we get some guys under their belt that fit their identity, then I will probably be tougher on Joe Witt. But like I said, C, because of the violence and ball is life talk hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, my thing with Joe Witt is I don't feel like I have enough information yet to give him a clear grade, because it's like, I know we don't have a lot of pieces on the defensive side of the ball. We improved significantly at linebacker. That's the one real strength of the defense. It's supposed to be on a consistent basis the Alabama wall. For the first time this year, the law firm of Payne and Allen opened up on Sunday versus the Arizona Cardinals, but we're giving up so much on the ground that bothers me. Like, we're getting dogged in the run game. And when I look at Payne and Allen, it isn't the lack of sack production. Neither of them are a sack master. Yes, they produce high sack seasons. When that contract was on the line, you know how dudes get. They get superhuman. They start playing out their mind for a little bit. But if you're not going to give us anything pass rush wise, that means you're being productive in the running area. You can't be bad at both. And as the leaders in the heartbeat of this defense, I need them boys up front and in the middle to do something, because we're letting jag-ass running backs run all over us each week. We know what the secondary is. All four of us could go out and put up 30 to 45 yards on our secondary. But why are we letting Chase Brown go for 8 yards a carry? Why are we letting Zach Moss go for 6 yards a carry? Devin Singletary almost gave us 100 on the ground when we played the Giants. That's a problem for me. And I don't really feel like that's a coaching problem. That's a manhood problem. That's a physicality problem. And that's someone up front is not getting enough push on a regular basis. I feel like I need more information on Joe Witt Jr. because he's working with the barest cupboard of all the coaches on this roster right now, and he's told to make dinner with it. So he's trying to put these scraps together. He can't go out and tackle for guys, and he can't make them tackle at camp because nobody tackles at camp in 2024. It's not a physical league anymore. So I don't really know what to blame him for. My biggest thing with Joe Witt is it feels like we run man defense at the most inopportune times in games. And that shit seems like, all right, that didn't feel like a time we should be running man. And see, I still can't get the image out of my head of Mikey Sanders still first drive of the game on an island with a top 3 receiver in the league. I don't know who thought that shit was fly, but I'm going to need somebody to step in and say, no. Lou, talk to me about Joe.
Go ahead.
Just real quick about because the run game worries. Doesn't it seem like we missed John Ridgeway a little bit?
We may miss John Ridgeway. He's not a world beater, but I mean, something's not going right in there.
Yeah.
So the style that they play up front, he didn't fit. That's why they got rid of him. he's more of a two-gapper, and he's a space eater. I'll tell you what, he's a better football player than Fedarian Mathis.
He
So,
for sure is a better
and so that felt like, but they traded the guy that had the most value. Phil Mathis had zero value. You know what I mean?
Zero, none.
My grade is a C- right now. And so I actually think he's going to be a good defensive coordinator. I agree with you, Rio. One of the outside of the run game, I can sit here and talk to you about 45 minutes about the run game. This is pissing me off to no end. The fact that we are getting gashed in the run game, and you see what's happening. And he talked about it a little bit at his presser last week about how, we play with a lot of light boxes. And if you want to take away the deep shot, you play with the two deep safeties. Now we got light box. Now you're getting run on, but it's not just that. The run fits aren't good. We're getting up the field, running out of our gaps. I think the Giants exposed us in that regard in the run game, because that was the first game where they saw teams running like that quick hit and duo play right up the middle, and we really haven't been able to stop it since. But I think the inopportune times running man is one of my biggest complaints. I thought we would see more, complex blitzes or, zone blitzes, or we would see some twists and stunts up front. I haven't seen a lot of, stunts up front where we're working in unison with each other. And there's been a lot of things that have been pretty basic defensively, like the Malik Neighbors shallow cross twice on 3rd and long. You just go, okay, bro, we're rushing 3 and we're dropping 8 and we playing man coverage behind that. Like, where's the psychological sense in that? Okay, so the first one you got beat on. Okay, all right, not gonna do that again, right? No, we did it again, right? Like, where's the psychological sense in that? I didn't have as big an issue with Noah Igbenogany being on Jamar Chase in that game beat for this reason. He talked about guys not playing with the right leverage. That was on Noah Igbenogany. Not Noah Igbenogany. That was on Mikey Sainristil.
Yeah.
He didn't play the right leverage, right? So you got help to the inside with your safety. And what he was supposed to do was he was supposed to play with outside leverage, forcing him inside towards the help, right? He gave him an outside release, and he was playing with inside leverage, which allowed Joe Burrow to have the pylon. Essentially, he threw that ball to the outside away from the safety help. He was supposed to force him inside off the line of scrimmage and then play with outside leverage, force him inside towards the help. Now, it's not giving Joe that outside pylon to throw the football to. If he wants to squeeze it in there, he's got to throw it up the field away, try to throw it up the field away from the safety. Or if he throws it where he threw it, it's going to be bang, bang. The safety's going to get there. But by you giving him the outside, that allowed Joe to throw the ball towards the pylon away from the safety help. It was just all bad, but it started with poor technique. And I know they didn't tell him to play that kind of technique and play that kind of leverage. And I know they didn't tell Mike Davis to miss 3 tackles on the same play on a hitch. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. It's a combination of, and you're not in Dallas no more. You don't have those caliber of athletes. Nope. So you got to adjust and adapt to what you do have. And I don't think that he did that early on in the season, because they were still mixing and matching parts. You could tell they're trying to figure out what are the best combinations we can put on the field. And I also think the guys were, thinking a little bit. This is a new scheme for a lot of these players, so they needed to adjust. But I think you're starting to see guys like Jeremy Chin play faster. You're starting to see guys like Frankie Louvu play faster. He's been playing fast since week 1, but he's playing even faster now. Bobby Wagner has been steady Eddie. And, they love Quan Martin. He's been coming down, even though he's been missing some damn tackles, he's coming down and trying to hit something, right? Yeah. Anything that moves, he's trying to hit it. So you're seeing guys play with that reckless abandon that we want to see, hats flying to the football, all that good stuff. He's getting better. But to your point, Rio, I want to see some different looks. And I think we saw that this past week, and I can't wait to watch the film. I'm going to do it tonight. In this game, in some third down situations, I want to see different looks. Even against Cincinnati, while I thought there was a overreaction, sort of an overcorrection to the week prior against the Giants, where we were getting beat in man coverage all the time. Those mesh concepts, guys running wide open. He adjusted to playing zone, right? Especially after you get beat for a touchdown on the first possession. But it was easy zone coverage. It's 3rd and 10, and you got T. Higgins running a dig route wide open, with 4 yards of space on a 3rd and 10. And you're like, we got to tighten these zones up. If you're going to play zone, it can't just be, hey, I'm guarding my, my blade of grass, right? My little, area here. So at the end of the day, I think the run game is a whole different category. Like, they got to clean that up, man. That is problematic. I'm nervous because you got Saquon twice. You got Derrick Henry coming up here in a couple of weeks.
Oh my God, you see Derrick Henry on Sunday, man.
I'm like, yo, if we can't fix this, because I honestly don't know why Arizona stopped running the ball, to be honest with you. Like, I would have continued to run it until we were throwing up, the run game, because we couldn't stop it. How often is it that you lose by 4 touchdowns in a game and you almost rush for 200 yards? There wasn't a 70-yard run in the game for Arizona.
Crazy.
181 yards rushing, and you lost by 28? Like, bro, that doesn't happen in this league. So we got an issue there. But even past that, I think he's getting more comfortable with the personnel and how to use them and how to adjust to their strengths. Now it's about just consistency, I think. So C- for me right now.
C-. I'm gonna go ahead and give Joe Witt something about a C so far as well. But I've seen people talking about fire him.
Yeah,
at some points.
That's crazy talk.
The culture is different now, guy. We're not doing Dan Snyder type shit here anymore. We're gonna give a guy time to work. The cupboard's bare on the defensive side of the ball. It was surprising because you know how we struggle versus fast and mobile quarterback. Kyler ran for 3 yards on Sunday. It almost felt like he was trying to prove Kliff, I can stand in the pocket at 5'8". I can pass from the pocket like the big boys, like your 6'4" quarterback you got over there. Because his little ass wasn't even trying to move. There were times where if they just moved the pocket or if he just fled the pocket to make a play, he could have did it. But we eventually crowded the pocket and we got hands on his little ass a few times. So we saw some good defensive adjustment. I'm just trying to get to a point with the defense where I don't have to fear a 3rd and 12 on defense. We shouldn't be shaking in our boots every time it's 3rd and 9, 3rd and 11. It gets to like 3rd and 14, and we're sweating in the second half watching this defense play. I want to be comfortable on 3rd and long at some point. But let's move on to a unit that was probably the strength of the defense right now, the linebacker position, a position that the last regime criminally undervalued and neglected for years. Frankie Louvu is the best defensive player on this team, I believe, through the first month of the season. He is a Tasmanian devil. He has energy. He has physicality. If you could build the epitome of Joe Witt Jr.'s mantras and what he says at the podium and put it in the form of a football player, it's Frankie Louvu. Bobby Wagner, he's still a tackling machine at his big age, despite the fact that he looks slow as hell. He looks like he's a step and a half less than, which comes with age. Father Time catches up to all, and he's missed some tackles here and there. But how would you grade the linebackers through the first month of the season, Ed?
I would go with B-. B. Frankie was awesome against the Cardinals, so that definitely boosted their grade. Bobby Wagner was awesome against the Cardinals too, and Frankie Louvu, ball was light for him. He forced a turnover, so that was huge too to just put the game. Well, the game was already over anyway, but it was just nice to add some icing on the cake there. Like I brought up earlier, that Buccaneers game, it looked like Bobby. It was like I didn't think preseason was going to matter for him anyway, because he's been in the league for 13, 12, 14 years, whatever it is, for a decade longer. But it did look like he was like, hey, he probably should have taken some reps, because he was really slow. He was slow as molasses out there against the Buccaneers. He was struggling, and there was like a third
moving in slow motion.
Yeah, it was a screen pass to Chris Godwin, and he just olayed and moved out the way. There was another, it was like a 3rd and 16 to Chris Godwin, and they converted a screen pass to him. And then there was another play where he olayed. I think it was a Bucky Irving too, where he moved out the way. He didn't tackle.
He was tired in that game.
Yeah,
though,
he was
man.
tired. I heard it was
game. It was hot,
huge.
and that man ain't come out the game for a single snap. He was dog tired, man.
Wagner and Allen looked like they was going to pass out in Tampa.
It was rough. It was rough. It was definitely rough week 1 for sure.
Yeah, so since then, I think they have improved. They are playing. I think Bobby has played basically 99.9% of the snaps. Frankie has played 99. I think when Jordan McGee comes back, he may be able to give them a little bit of a break, a little bit more of a rotation.
And some speed.
So yeah, some speed out there too, some youth at the position. So I think they've done solid so far. Bobby did stick with Marvin Harrison on one play where he got a stop, so that was good. You know, coverage is not like his strongest, so he's more of a run stopper. And he was back there, got a sack on Kyler. Him and Deron Payne were in the mix. Frankie and John Allen were on the mix on a sack too, getting some pressure on Kyler Murray. So I think they're getting better as they go. But right now, I would give them a B- at this point. The Buccaneers game stuck out to me a little bit, and the Giants game still, you know, them not wrapping up on Devin Singletary. But Frankie put a hit on Malik. He almost took Neighbors out of the game. I'm not condoning, you know, taking guys out. He made his presence cut on Malik. It didn't stop Malik from getting 100 yards, but I did. You know, we got to hit somebody.
Welcome to the league.
He's the only one bringing some violence. So I love Frankie for that. He's flying around. So Frankie's been doing his thing. He's been living up to the hype so far. But I do want to see some more impactful plays from those guys. They're the only guys that are playing right now. Like Michael Walker, he's more of a special teams guy. Those are the only linebackers that we have out there. Like Dante Fowler, they list him as a linebacker, but he's more of a pass rusher. And then like Ballore doesn't get any snaps. So we really only have 2 backers out there at this point until McGee gets out there. And they don't use Jamin really at the linebacker spot at all. So it's really just them 2. And they're playing 99% of the snaps. So that's why I'm not dinging them so much or giving them a terrible grade. I give them a B right now because Frankie's been balling. The Cardinals game and the Bengals game, they played better. So I give them about a B-.
Okay, and to add to that, and I want y'all to add
the run game has to be better. They're a part of that too. They're a part of that.
Oh, wow. I'm glad you said, wow, that was a perfect, because I was going to say, how much % do we give the linebackers of the blame pie and while we're getting ran and gashed all over the field in the run game?
I put a lot of it on the line, the defensive line, because they're getting out of their gaps. And what the job of a defensive lineman what it is to do is to keep the linebackers clean. And what we're having happen is because guys are running out of their gap, is they're climbing to the second level and getting to the linebackers. It's like nobody there to take that guy. So if you run out of your gap, if you immediately rush up the field and you don't get the running back, right? Like we're taking the old adage of stop the run on the way to the quarterback. We taking that shit literal. Like dudes are just running straight past the running back to the quarterback, and the quarterback don't have the ball.
Right.
And now the offensive line like, bet I don't even got to block him, right? And so I'm going to the second level, go get the linebacker, pin him, and now we off to the races. We at the second level. Dude got 8-9 yards before the first contact comes. So I put a huge chunk of that. Now some of it, there are plays where even if the defensive lineman has gotten out of their gap, if they just hit it faster, the play could be salvaged and it wouldn't be as big a gain, or it wouldn't be a gain at all. But that comes with, you know, playing and understanding, you know, how guys are going to play it. That's got to be them communicating. Hey, I'm going to hit this. I'm going up the field. I don't care. If you're going up the field, then you got to follow up. And it's a delicate balance, because if it's play action, well, you done took 2-3 false steps up. Now it's the easy window behind you. So they always got to kind of wait to see if it's play action or if it's a run. And, you know, that's that kind of fine line you walk when you talk about, you know, the run game and what's happening. And then a lot of times we playing with 6-man boxes and they got 7 guys down there. And so this is the dilemma that Joe Witt Jr. faces. And this is why I gave him a C-, but it easily could have been a C+. So the answer is, okay, bring pressure. Well, if you blitz, you better be able to cover on the back end. We can't cover on the back end.
Nope.
So then you say, all right, got to play zone, right? Got to keep safeties over the top. Joe Burrow, the minute he saw Jamar Chase, he only got it twice in the game, one-on-one.
Gone.
Both times, touchdowns, immediately, right?
Immediately.
So you say, okay, I can't play one-on-one on the outsides when you got an elite receiver. And all we've seen this season is elite receivers. Every game this season we've played, even I know Marvin Harrison ain't there yet, but he's going to be, right?
Yeah, different breed.
We've seen nothing but elite receivers, and every time these quarterbacks have seen one-on-one, but the one that was crazy was Joe Burrow on Monday night, because you know, he's one of them ones. That's the top so 5.
Fast. Yeah.
Soon as he got one-on-one over the top, bam, touchdown, right? So now Joe Witt's like, okay, I can't bring the safeties down to help. Well, so if you don't bring the safeties down, now you got a light box. Now you're getting gashed in the run game. So it's tough. You would like to see more resistance, even with a light box. You know, it shouldn't be that easy. It's never been that easy against us. And that's where the lack of gap discipline and run fits have been really frustrating to start this season off.
Hell yeah. And since you're here, you might as well take us into your grade for the linebackers right now.
I think they've been a solid B. I would almost lean towards a B plus. Without them, we have nothing on defense right now. They've been the engine for this defense. And like Ed said, it's only really two guys that they're playing at the position. It's been Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu, and those two lead the team in tackles every single game. And when you talk about impactful plays, it's usually one of those two guys producing it. When we were in Tampa week 1, we had 8 tackles for loss in that game, right? It was crazy how much penetration, how disruptive we were up front. Bobby Wagner had a possession. We had 2 straight tackles for loss. I can't remember the last time a linebacker in Washington had 2 straight tackles for losses on consecutive plays. Like, you probably got to go back to London Fletcher. Like, we're not even talking about the 20 teams. We talking about 09, 08, something like that. Like, it's crazy. And then the third down, after he's created 3rd and 17 with 2 straight tackles for loss, we give up a 3rd and 17 wide receiver screen for like 24 yards, right? And that's the frustration. But he's been phenomenal, has Bobby Wagner. We knew we weren't getting Bobby Wagner from 5 years ago. I don't know what anybody was expecting. He's been fine for me because I know, hey, Bobby ain't going to have that step that he used to have. I'm not even tripping about that. He's been everything that I thought we were getting. And Frankie Louvu, I will say, I would have thought, and I'm glad he forced a fumble on Sunday because I would have thought he would have had a sack by now or 2, and I thought he might have had an interception or a forced fumble. Now he's got the forced fumble, so I told anybody that would listen, that's a Pro Bowl, All Pro type player. Like that's how much I believed in Frankie Louvu. So to see him flying around, not surprised. Know that's who he is. Know that's his game. Now I want to see him making more plays, and he's getting close. He almost had an interception. He dove.
Sure
right?
Did.
And it was just outside of his outstretched arms. He's going to get one here shortly. He's going to start making those impact plays, but he's been flying around. You feel his presence every single week. And so for me, the linebackers have been tremendous. It's a solid B. I'm almost leaning towards a B plus.
I'm going to go ahead and grade on a curve and give him a B plus because Frankie Louvu, like you said, that guy flies around. He is the Tasmanian devil of this defense, a devil of destruction. Sometimes he flies around to his detriment when they send him on blitzes or when he comes shooting through the gap. Sometimes he runs past the play, but I'm okay with that because that's what it looks like to have a linebacker who can fly up and down the field to make plays. Our linebackers been slow as molasses, had bad eyes, had bad hips, all of it. Like we've had every type of bad linebacker you can see over the year. Even Bobby Wagner at his big age, he still looks like he commands and quarterbacks the defense. I'm giving him a B plus. I'm not even going to hold you too much longer. Rico, you can take us out on the linebackers, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them a flat B. I mean, I'm thinking like I feel B plus in my heart, especially how I feel like they're gonna continue to play. But I gotta dot them a little bit for them screen passes in the beginning, man. Wagner and Louvu were nowhere to be found. Some of those tunnel screens versus but I just can't forget that. So that alone, I'm gonna have to take away like a piece of a letter from that. But yeah, B, because for the reasons y'all have already stated, the D line hasn't been doing exactly what they need to do. I mean, now granted, we need to find a balance because that Sam Mills the third defensive line thing where all they're doing is 2 gapping and never trying to get upfield never worked. And then now they went too far the other way.
Right.
We need to find like a little happy middle. And I think it's to y'all's points, like the linebackers are having to make up for some of the deficiencies that the defensive line have basically laid on their shoulders. But I'm loving what I'm saying. Frankie Louvu's getting better every week. Bobby Wagner's looking more confident every week. I really feel like, I mean, first of all, new pieces on the entire defense. And it feels like a lot of the defensive a lot of the teams we've gone against so far, maybe they have a couple of new defensive pieces. Maybe they have a new defensive coordinator, but they're not just like an entirely new defense, basically, like we are. We're like the newest defense game to game right now. And then they had the nerve to not play most of these guys in the preseason. So I feel like it was just only going to be a matter of time until they started to gel a little more. I feel like that's the reason like a guy like Derek Forrest hasn't been put in there yet, because I think they're giving guys leeway. Like, we're seeing progress, we're seeing improvement. We don't want to ruin whatever chemistry y'all are building on. Even though I like Derek Forrest's talent, I think that's the reason that they're trying to do that. They're kind of just rolling with the punches. We're going to make mistakes, but as long as we improve, we can live with that. And you're seeing those guys flying around faster and everything, just as an overall defense, but especially the linebackers. Frankie Louvu has been the leader for this defense. Bobby Wagner is the quarterback of the defense, but Frankie Louvu's been the tone setter. And to y'all point, I mean, the fact that he almost had an interception there, I mean, right there, tip of his fingers, that would have been phenomenal. And then that forced fumble, even though the game was like kind of out of hand already at that point, that was a really big play. That was like one of the biggest plays we gave up all game, and he basically just erased it away and made it seem like it didn't even happen.
And that was some hustle on that play. He ran a long way to go create that fumble.
Yeah, not to just assume one of the people in front of you is going to do it. You go down there and make it. I love that mentality. And then lastly, I just feel like Jordan McGee coming back is going to be a big help. But I do want to emphasize the fact that if Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu can, start that slow, a fifth-round rookie that's missed half of, if not most of the offseason, deserves a little grace when he finally returns as well. Don't expect Jordan McGee to come in and immediately just dominate at linebacker. But I really think between just, first of all, the youth, the speed, I mean, again, to y'all's point, Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu are out there for almost every snap, at least just to give those guys a breather so they can be more efficient and more energetic when they are on the field rather than being out there all of the time. I think so. Just him, Jordan McGee coming in and alleviating them of just a few snaps occasionally would help. But also, I feel like his specialty, and the reason we went after him rather than other linebackers in the draft, is his coverage skills. Run blocking, run stopping. Bobby Wagner's been great at that. Frankie Louvu's also been a menace. He had that one where he just off the edge went and made the play in the backfield immediately. He went through like three people too, basically made the one of the, I think, tight ends tackle the running back in a way and kind of sweep them up by his ankle. But I think, they got the run stopping down. They're working on it at least, but that's their skill set. They got the quarterbacks of the defense. They got the leaders, but I feel like coverage is what we're really missing. Those flats and that like right in the middle of the field, like 5 to 10 yards has been wide open. And I think Jordan McGee will help a lot with that.
And it's nice to know that tight ends haven't cooked us at any point of this season so far. It's almost like offenses are playing ball without a tight end so far. We're not seeing tight ends cook up. Y'all know tight ends used to give us work on a regular basis.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Jason Witten made a whole Hall of Fame career just living wide open versus Washington twice a year on Sundays. So it seems like a resounding B average here from the linebacker position. Yep, Zach Ertz too. Used to kill us as well. Let's move on to this defensive line, and we're going to close it with the secondary. The defensive line, the Alabama wall, we know who they are. It took them a couple weeks to arrive in 2024. We got Dorrance Armstrong. He finally flashed. We're giving him $15 million a year. He was a priority signing, so we want to see more from him on a consistent basis. Cleveland Farrell got 2 sacks earlier this year, and his injury appears to be lingering and a lot more serious than we thought it was going to be when it originally happened. Let's talk about the defensive line. Rico, go ahead.
I mean, before this game, I would have gave them at best a C-, like at very best. But they did play that better today, and I don't even feel like the issues that we have with them with like lack of gap discipline and screaming up the field, I don't feel like they necessarily fixed that. I feel like this game was more so they just wanted it more. I don't know, it just seemed like they played tougher, more physical. They hustled. I mean, Deron Payne, like one of his tackles was like 8 yards down the field. I feel like this was more so effort. I feel like the issues that we had with this defensive line schematically may still be there, but like there was just way more effort this game from everybody. And the more Johnny Newton plays, the better he's going to get. So, going to this game, probably a C-. Believe in this game. I mean, the fact that we were able to get pressure on the quarterback and bring them down, I don't think people remember or maybe even notice, but after that Buccaneers game, it didn't feel like it, but like our defensive line had, I think, the second highest pass rush win rate. We just couldn't bring them down. Like that was the problem. And then, now we're actually getting to the quarterback. And I would say Kyler Murray is easily more mobile than Baker Mayfield. So, I mean, there's clear improvement. That's a clear emphasis that they're working on in practice, even though to the point of Rio, like it seemed like Kyler Murray had a vendetta. Like, I'm going to stay in this pocket even when I
Right,
shouldn't.
right.
I will prove it to Kliff that I can stand here.
I don't know what that was about.
But he has so many opportunities.
Oh my
But but the D line did improve at the least, and I feel like it wasn't even necessarily schematic. Like I said, I feel like it was more effort than anything. I would give them, if the linebackers are a B, I mean the highest I can go with the D line is a C plus. But great job by Dorrance Armstrong for finally looking like, I think he was our highest paid free agent on a per year basis. He finally showed that a little bit against the Cardinals. I need to see that more though. It's hard for them to just have one noticeable game and for me to just go ahead and crown them.
Shout out to Dorrance for showing some bend off the edge, because bend is something we have not seen very often. We've seen a lot of edge rushers coming in and out of this building. Dorrance was bending that edge on Sunday versus the Cardinals, and he has a spin move. I think he goes to it a little too often. He does a spin move a lot on Sunday, and it be working sometimes, but sometimes he spins his ass right about the play. So you had him at a C plus, the D-line?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with C plus. Yeah, they improved almost an entire letter from what I thought the previous 3 games.
Lou, the D line, what you grade them through for?
Yeah, it's another one of these groups where it's a C for me right now. Easily could have been C minus, but like Rico said, this last game was dynamic for them, and it probably would have been a D plus before this game, but it's a solid C right now. It was good to see the defensive tackles come to life in this game. Payne, I always felt like Payne was doing good things. The numbers just weren't there, right? He had a chance for a tackle for loss against Cincinnati, and he let the running back stiff arm him. He couldn't get him on the ground, right? And that was really frustrating, And then he ran across the field and picked up like 5-6 yards. It went from a loss of, 4 or 5 on the play to a gain of like 6 or 7. It was crazy. So I always felt like he was doing impactful stuff. He had 2 opportunities on Baker Mayfield in week 1, and he just couldn't get them. The Cleveland Farrell sack in week 2 against the Giants, that was Daron Payne pressure that forced him up in the pocket, and then Cleveland Farrell cleaned it up. So I felt like he was playing. The numbers just didn't, back that up. It's easy to just say he only had 1 tackle or 2 tackles coming into the game, but to see him finally, you can see how happy he was when he made the sack. They got the half a sack. He was ecstatic because he had been making things happen, but the numbers just weren't there to support that. It was Allen who was like, bro, I need more, man. This ain't enough. And it was good to see him. I think one of the first plays of the game, he went and tracked the screen down. I said, okay, J.A. locked in today. And then, he was able to get some pressure. Dorrance, I said after the first 2 pass dropbacks, they can't block him on the right side because he had pressure, I think, on the first 2 snaps, or at least the first 2 dropbacks. And Kelvin Beachum was struggling. I mean, he was running circles around Kelvin Beachum. You want to talk about somebody looking old? Kelvin Beachum looked old in the game because Dorrance was giving him work. And so that was really good to see. I really like Dante Fowler Jr. I knew what he was when we got him, but he's our best pass rusher. Like, he's very effective. He wins a lot. And so I actually like him playing, I think, a lot more than I thought, because I'm like, I like my Dante Fowler Jr. playing like 27% of the snaps. I don't need him out there.
He has a plan when he rushes.
Yes, yes. You can see it. Like, a lot of our guys don't have a plan. They just hope they win on that particular rush. And so I still need to see more from them, stopping the run wise. I haven't seen them be dynamic in that regard. I don't think I've seen enough impactful plays on the early downs from those guys. And this was the first game that we saw any impactful plays really on 3rd down, which was a blessing because we know that the secondary can be problematic. So I think the pressure is going to be what helps us, throughout the course of this season. So I think it's a C right now. I'll just say this. The arrow is trending upwards for this group right now. Okay. And I mean, after the first 3 weeks, you couldn't get too much worse. And after week 4, there's optimism, but I think a lot of us are like, yo, how much of that was Kliff? How much of that was Kliff? Because it almost felt too easy. Like, Kyler ain't trying to run but once. Really? So now they got pressure though, because he could have been just standing back there, like Joe Burrow was just standing back there. Daniel Jones was just standing back there. Baker Mayfield, we got pressure on Baker. But the weeks 2 and 3, the quarterbacks were just standing back there forever. And in the Giants case, it was a lot of max protect too. But it was so good to see the defensive line, get active in week 4. Now I want to see them continue to do that. So it's a C for me right now.
Okay, Ed, I'm going to let you close it out. I'm going to go real quick, and I'm going to let you close it out on the defensive line. And that point you made about Kliff helping the defense, you underestimate how close that relationship of coach and quarterback is, especially when the head coach is the offensive play caller. This guy knows every nook and cranny in detail about Kyler. When he shrugs his shoulder to the left, when he takes a 3-step drop, when he takes a 5-step drop, he likes to cheat behind the guard on this play. He likes to step to the right. It seemed like we knew every step he was going before he did it. So it was cool that it looked like we were more than prepared. But I'm going to be the Russian judge on the panel. I'm going to be the Russian judge here. I'm giving them a D+, and the plus is only there because the Arizona game, because without the Arizona game, that was a fleeting D for me, a flat out D grade. But I seen too much in weeks 1 through 3 to give them a C or higher. And week 1 is one of the more deceiving weeks on the scoreboard and in some of these advanced metrics, because we were there all day. We were in Baker Mayfield's hip pocket the entire game. If Bama's weren't huffing and puffing from the heat or missing tackles, we might have had a game that looked like the Arizona game, because we had a chance to sack him 5 or 6 times in that game. Not only did we have a chance to sack him, we had a chance for a lot of more tackles for loss. Like, we could have literally blown that football game up. Next week, let's go to the Giants game. Our defense wanted no parts of tackling Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary. And I'm watching Jonathan Allen and Payne miss tackles, and that doesn't sit well with me. Y'all are the leaders. Y'all are making $22, $24 million a year. And I don't mean to keep harping on the money, but it does matter. It does matter. Like, the play that sticks out the most from those two was the missed tackle Payne had versus the Bengals on Monday night, where he got in the backfield and Chase Brown or Zach Moore, I don't remember which one, where they threw him off like a rag. Get off me.
Yeah.
Get off me. I don't need to see Daron Payne is built to fight a gorilla. Like, why are you getting thrown by this mid-ass running back off of you? But we finally saw them start to put it together 4 weeks into the season. And I think you're going to see development more as the season goes on. But I have not seen enough on a consistent basis to give them a C grade or higher yet. And I'm challenging them to do better, because I know Allen and Payne are better than that. I don't harp and call these guys out because I hate them. I don't want them on my football team. It's because I know what the top of their game looks like, and they have not been that at all until Sunday versus the Arizona Cardinals. So D+ for me for the defensive line. Shout out to Dorrance Armstrong for having a 1.5 sack game. They took the other half sack from him. I hate half sacks, Just give the sack to the guy where it looks like got the sack, man. All you got to do is throw a shoulder on somebody and you get a half a sack these days. Cleveland Farrell, while he did have 2 sacks earlier, he doesn't do much other than those.
He didn't earn those sacks. He fell into them sacks.
Those were like getting a kill on Call of Duty after the guy already got shot or grazed by a grenade or something. So he was coming in and smacking you with the gun after you already got shot. So they get a D+ grade from me. Ed, close out the D line so we can get to the secondary and I can get y'all out of here.
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength as far as like D+, C-. The run game has been bad. The tackling's been bad. The Daron Payne play where, he didn't wrap up on Monday Night Football. John Allen, it's come to a point where he's had more morning interviews than impactful plays. Or more. Every week he's on the radio. He had more interviews than impactful plays. We haven't gotten the rant from him yet, which is good because we're winning games.
No do-rag.
The do-rag rant and saying, I've thought about being traded. I've thought about this and that. So we haven't heard that yet this year, which is a good thing. But, the way he talks, the pay, yes, the pay is something. They did earn their contracts when they got them. but they still got to live up to the hype. And they still haven't done that this year. They're starting to wake up. The Arizona game, they finished plays on Kyler Murray, but they're still not stopping the run. As far as edge rushers, it's a rotation. We got a committee going with Dante, Cleveland when he comes back, and Dorrance woke up. And Dorrance can be a monster since he's finally waking up. He was that big. He was our biggest free agent acquisition as far as a defensive lineman or edge rusher. And, 8.5 sacks with the Cowboys 2 years in a row, or 7.5 sacks. He's starting to wake up and get to the quarterback. And I think when he starts hitting on all cylinders, that's when our defense can finally start getting some stops and hold guys to 20. But, yeah, so far, yeah, they're definitely like a C minus, D plus. They're finally starting to tackle. They still got to stop the run, like I said before. And then Johnny Newton is still a work in progress. That was his second game of the year. So I thought he played with a lot of energy in the Bengals game, but the Cardinals game, he's kind of getting pushed around a little bit. So I do want to see him. He's getting his feet wet. No pun intended with, both feet getting surgery on him, but, and then whatever, he had a soft tissue injury. So he's getting up to speed. And then Fedarian Mathis, he's a rotational guy. So, we don't expect too much out of him, but, he's got to make some impactful plays there too. But I think they're coming along. And then John Baptiste, I'll throw him in the mix too. He made an impactful play. I think that was the Bengals game. He came in and made an impactful play. So I'll throw him in the mix a little bit there too.
Belt to ass.
Yeah. Javonte John Baptiste came in and made his presence felt. They had to call his name out. And then Andre Jones, I think he's gotten in the mix a little bit too. So I'll throw him out there too. I don't want to forget about him. But yeah, I think so far they're a part of the problem so far with the run defense for sure and not getting pressure. Daniel Jones sat back there. He had all day. Joe Burrow had all day. They did get pressure on Baker. They just had to wrap up. And they're finally wrapping up against Kyler. So I think they're improving. They're steadily improving. So that's why I say a D plus C minus instead of an F, because they were close to an F. Yeah. If it wasn't for the Cardinals game, they were close to an F.
Very. And shout out to Johnny Newton. His big ass be hustling. He be making tackles 20, 25 yards down the field. That big boy be scooting down that field to close out the defensive grades. We're going to combine the secondary, safety, and cornerback. I'm going to be very short on this because I would like to hear y'all elaborate on this position through 4 weeks. I don't feel like I'm being too tough when I say this. That is an F grade for the secondary through the first 4 weeks of the season, but week 3-1. So, you know what I'm saying? It's glass half full. I'm going to get them a F grade. There's not a single member of the secondary that another team in the league would be knocking our doors down for right now. But I think we're starting to trend north because they had a really good game. So you can call it a D minus if you like, but I just don't think that secondary has been good enough. We have been saved by the grace of a phenomenal historical offense right now. Because if it wasn't for that, we may be it may be real shaky in here right now. Lou, secondary.
I think you bailed the corners out by combining the safeties and the corners.
That's exactly what I did.
Because it would have been a straight F if you would have gave me the corners. But I think the safeties have played really solid football.
They have been solid. This corner's been so bad, man.
I think I could get a C minus. It's probably more of a D plus, but I think I'm gonna give them a C minus because the safeties. I really like what Jeremy Chin has done the last 2 weeks. I was very critical of him the first 2 weeks. I was not happy. That Giants game was awful. The tape was awful in that game. Mm-hmm. But he lit up Mike Gesicki on the sidelines. He had a tackle for loss against the Bengals in that game. And then he was everywhere on Sunday. He was everywhere, and he was physical, and he looks like the guy that I remember when the Panthers took him, and he was second in the defensive rookie of the year behind Chase Young back in 2020. He looks like that guy again. So he's getting back to where he's starting to play fast and physical. Quan has been doing that all year. Even though he's missed his fair share of tackles, Quan is hitting anything that move right now. Like, he flying around, reckless abandon. Only thing now that I'm looking for from Quan is, hey, make a play on something, right? Take something away. But Percival, is going to be Percival. He's been flying around too, and so it sometimes it looks good, sometimes you're like, but all in all, I've been somewhat pleased with what I've gotten out of the safety. It's the corners, man. The corners are just bad, man. And you know, I've said this about Benjamin St. Juste. He's actually hasn't been horrible this year. He's a number 2 corner. Like there are people like he's not even a number 2. No, he's a number 2 corner. The problem is he's being asked to play number 1 receivers, and that's why you're a number 2, right? Is because you're not supposed to be on the other team's best receiver consistently. And so when you look at Mike Evans is an elite receiver. Well, Benjamin was right there. That's the kind of guy he can cover, by the way. Those bigger receivers who aren't as fast, that's right up his wheelhouse. That's in his alley, right? And he was right there, but he never looks for the football, which is why he only has 1 career interception and had none in college because he never looks for the football. So he forced the fumble against the Giants. That was a massive play in that game.
He saved us.
Yeah, he had like 4 PBUs in that game, including like one of the first punts forced of the season in that game, right? He on the 3rd down, they tried to throw it over the middle. He broke it up, and then he had the nerve to say, "I'm strapped." Oh, really? You're strapped now, huh? But seriously, all jokes aside, he's been solid. It's just look who he's going up against. He can't cover Jamar Chase. He can't cover Malik Neighbors. He can't cover Mike Evans, right? But you put any of those other guys on, and he has a shot, right? And he's been solid this year. It's Noah Igbenogany's actually been solid this year, right? I actually like Noah Igbenogany. I do.
He plays well. He does.
I think he's exceeded my expectations. My expectations were we got a special teams player. He actually has been really solid at corner. Now, and you know, remember when we were here the last time, I called him the general. He's not State Farm. He's not Progressive. He's not Allstate. He ain't Geico, but he's the general. And you know what? He's been quality insurance, man. He's been okay. I've been disappointed in Mike Samer still so far. And you know what? I don't like to put that much on a rookie, right? Because you know, is he still a rookie? I don't want to put.
They're putting a lot on him, right?
And we're putting a lot. But you know why? Because the rest of the secondary stinks, or the rest of the corners stink, and so he's being put in a position where now we have to rely on him in a space that we shouldn't. It's the same thing that we did with AGG back in 2020. We ain't had no receivers. So now this 4th round receiver need to be nice, right? And he wasn't ready to be nice. And we're asking him to play boundary. He's a nickel corner. Let him get good at being a nickel. And we got him out here playing boundary. And he's a competitor, so he's going to compete and he's going to do whatever they ask him to do. And so I love that competitive spirit that he has. But he got beat for a touchdown against the Giants against cover 0, right? With Wan'Dale Robinson for the touchdown. He was supposed to be playing with outside leverage. He played with inside leverage, got beat outside and gave up the touchdown. And he's been beaten, you know, Mike. I mean, come on, Chris Godwin in week 1. That's a tough assignment. Like every 3rd down, easy money, right? So I think he's going to get better, but I would like him to just stay in the slot. But because of the injuries and all the different shuffling that they've been having to do to try to find out the right combinations, he's had to play all over the place. And then, you know, obviously Forbes got off to a rough start, got injured. And I said Michael Davis was going to be this year's Ronald Darby, and he cut himself short because he couldn't tackle.
Can't win with that guy. Cannot win with that guy.
Can't win with him.
No.
Won't win with him, you know? And he had to get yanked out again. We ain't seen that man since. You might as well put him on a milk cart. I don't even know if he's playing special teams right now. They was so frustrated with him. And I was too. I was really disappointed in him. So the corners leave a lot to be desired. And I will say this. I like Noah Igbenogany. I like Benjamin St. Juste. We just don't have a number 1. You know what I mean? And until you properly slot these corners, you're always going to be at a disadvantage, it feels like.
Thoughts on Forbes?
You know, I've been an advocate for giving this young kid an opportunity. I told everybody before the season started, hey, man, give him a shot. Like, I know y'all want to – pitchforks and torches been out on this kid already, and y'all ready to put this man on the cross and hang him. I'm like, look, man, just give him a shot, right? And I'm hoping after this injury, having, you know, seen the success that the team's having, he came back, you know, and he was sticking his head in there and
almost got him a pick on Sunday.
Yeah,
almost got him a pick.
You know, ran a dude out of bounds while looking for the football. I was proud of him. I said, okay, maybe that time off was what you needed to see. Hey, I got to step my shit up. And this group isn't going to give up on him like the last group did. They're going to give him a chance. So let's see if we can get something out of Forbes. I haven't given up on him yet, man. I still think there's a chance he could end up being something.
He looked solid on Sunday. Rico, the secondary is great so far.
Yeah, I'm probably like just slightly more optimistic than everybody. I'm gonna go with like a C minus. But I completely agree with Lou. Like if you separate the corners from the safeties, then we're talking a different number letter. But I think the safeties have played fairly where they're improving. And I think even to Quan Martin's case, I'm right with Lou with everything he said. But Quan Martin was really close to an interception against Joe Burrow, but like Joe Burrow threw it inaccurately. I don't know if that was a heads up play, like it's not open, so let me kind of throw it away. But if he throws it to the receiver's chest, Quan Martin was like breaking on the ball, would have had an interception right in front of the end zone. But yeah, I completely like Lou was spot on with everything he said. Jeremy Chin is improving. He was like him and Luvu were like my favorite, arguably 2 off-season signings. So I've been like, if anybody was critical of how he played the first 2 weeks, I've been on him because I've been incredibly disappointed. And even to the Michael Davis point, I thought that okay, maybe we can get back to 2022. Maybe we can blame 2023 on defensive coaching. They kind of hung it up and gave up on the season. That it seemed like they didn't even really try to figure out how to utilize him correctly. But 2022, he looks pretty good, especially when you look at the advanced stats. But yeah, he just looks unplayable. And then Manuel Forbes, I mean, again, that one play where Jeremy Chin made the play, everybody's going to congratulate Jeremy Chin for going in there and making a really good tackle. But it was Emmanuel Forbes that set the edge the whole time as everybody's shifting over. He's making sure he holds that edge. And then at a certain point, he just I guess a timer went off. It was like, I just need to go make a play. So he just blew up, I guess, the receiver, whoever it was, blocking him. And then that's what freed up Jeremy Chin to go make the play. So everybody's getting better. I mean, I just feel like, same thing as we talked about defensive line, linebacker, the entire defense. Joe Wood Jr. is our defensive coordinator. These guys didn't have much time to learn how to play with amongst each other in the off season, especially preseason wise. It's just going to take time. I'm seeing improved effort from the guys for sure. I'm seeing, some slightly improved technique. And to Lou's point, I feel like literally if we can just get a number 1 corner from somewhere, draft, whatever it has to be, and you just basically move everybody down a spot on the depth chart. This is a solid cornerback group. Can be okay. Noah Igbinogheni's basically the amount of disappointment I have in Michael Davis. I feel like Noah Igbinogheni is like the inverse of that is surprise, positive. Yeah, the positive surprise. Like I didn't expect him to be this good, so I'm 100% with Louis on everything there.
Yeah, the secondary, man. You gonna grade them tough? You gonna grade them moderate?
Nah, Ed ain't going. He ain't holding back.
They earned their F. They're in their F plus D minus. They earned that grade. I mean, he was a former first round pick. He was a former first round pick for a reason. He has been a pleasant surprise. I love what he did in the Cardinals game. He had that pass deflection. Michael Davis has certainly been the biggest disappointment. He's just unplayable. Malik Neighbors did whatever he felt like doing him. He just couldn't tackle anything. He had to be benched. It was bad to the point where I was like, man, I want to see Forbes out there. Like that's how bad it was. And then Forbes struggled the first game, but yeah, I mean, he did a lot better in the Cardinals game. I mean, if he doesn't have his name called, that's all we're asking for. Like we're asking for the bare minimum from Forbes. So expectations are gone for me for Forbes. Just don't get your name called. I don't want to see a penalty. I don't want to see somebody flexing on you, boxing you out, mossing you, whatever that we saw his year. Yeah, we don't want to see that. And Joe Witt Jr., don't put him in that situation. So Amari Cooper, don't put him on Amari Cooper in the red zone. Don't put him on Jerry Jeudy on the red zone. That's just not a good matchup. So I think, Joe Witt Jr. knows that. I mean, he might. I was going to say maybe he might be able to handle Jerry Jeudy. I don't know about that. But even Jalen McMillan, he was struggling against. He struggled against Jalen McMillan in the first game. That's who he had the double penalty on. He had the face mask and the pass interference, which is really hard to do. I haven't seen that.
That's impressive. That's an impressive feat.
I don't think I ever saw a face mask and a pass interference on the same play down the field. But yeah, Joe Forbes. And then Ben St. Juste, yes, he's our best corner. It is what it is. He's our best corner. He's had some good moments. Just got to turn his head around. Mike Evans is a heck of a receiver. Same thing with Mikey Samerson with his matchup. Chris Godwin's a heck of a receiver. So we have had a tough slate. Like Wan'Dale Robinson, he's nobody to sleep on. Malik Neighbors is He looks like he's that guy.
He's a guy.
And then, Michael Wilson's not a bad player, and Forbes made a play on him. So kudos to Forbes on that. To get to the safeties, Jeremy Chin, he was terrible. It was to the point where I was like, hey, let's just see what Tyler Owens can do, man, because I feel like Tyler Owens can at least tackle. So I was like, hey, let's just throw Tyler Owens out there at this point. Derek Forrest's daddy was on Twitter and saying, play my boy, that nobody else is better than him on the team. It was to that point I was like, hey, let's see what Defoe got, because Jeremy Chin, he's not playing well. He's not tackling. So I was like, yeah, throw Owens out there. Who else? Bobby Price, throw him out there from Norfolk State. I wanted to see him rather than seeing Jeremy Chin. Honestly, it was to that point. But no, he's playing better. Jeremy Chin had a big pass breakup where the Bengals kicker missed that kick. That was the third down where Jeremy Chin came in with Noah I, and they made a pass deflection. So they're slowly coming along. I mean, it's a work in progress. So the only reason why they don't have an F is because of the Cardinals game, the job they did against Kyler Murray. So that's the only reason. Quan Martin has been solid, and Percy's been trying. And then I don't think Jeremy Reeves has played a actual defensive snap. I think he's done all special teams, I'm pretty sure. But so I would have thrown him in the mix there. But yeah, they get a D from me.
We treat Percy like the dumbass little brother. Like
Yeah, he said Percy's trying.
He means well. He means well. We're going to close this one out here. I got one more for y'all. We can get out of here for the night. Smash that like button. We've been here for 2 hours and 24 minutes summarizing Washington's first month of football. Based on your preseason record prediction, after a month of the season, are you sticking to it? Say what it is. Are you sticking to it? Are you giving us more? Or are you giving us less than what you had earlier in the year? I'll start with Rico on this one.
Oh, yeah, I'm for sure giving more. First of all, we already have at least a win or two that I didn't predict, like going through the schedule, we're going to win this, we're going to lose this. We're already like a game or two above that. So naturally, I'm going to go above. But I'm looking at the schedule. A couple of teams we play are worse than we thought. And I feel like we're better than especially what I thought that we would be. So I'm definitely going up. I don't know, maybe an extra two, stretch 3, maybe more wins than I predicted, but definitely up for sure.
Ed, what was your preseason record prediction, and did it change after seeing this first month?
Yeah, I had like 8 and 9. So I either 8 and 9 or 9 and 8. I have it going up. I think we should get double-digit wins. I really feel that 10 wins. Yeah, we should get 10 wins, because I think the formula is the defense hold a team to 20. If they can hold a team to 20, 23, I really think we can win 10 games, and I don't think that's asking too much. Because the thing is, Jayden's going to get better too. We haven't. Somebody else said that we haven't even seen like the Jayden 60-yard run yet. We haven't even seen it. He's gotten like 15, 20. But there's going to be a game.
For that big one. I've been calling for that big one, man.
Right. He's going to have one of them LSU runs where he runs for like 35, 40, where he's high stepping into the end zone. We haven't even seen that yet. So I clearly see double digit for sure.
Lou?
Oh man. Yeah, I had us at 8 and 9 before the season started. 7 and 10, 8 and 9.
Me too.
And I see no reason why we can't win 11 games.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
there go that number.
I know it sounds crazy, but when you start looking at the schedule, and I don't like playing this game, and I've told people I don't need you to remind me of who's on the schedule. I know the team's on the schedule. I know it's. After the Cincinnati Monday night game, it was impossible for fans to not start looking towards this next stretch, right? Man, you got Cleveland, you got Carolina, you got Chicago, you got Tennessee a little bit later on the schedule. The rest of the division's defense is trash. You can score the ball, and even if your defense is awful, is Tennessee really going to put up 30 on you? Because you can score 30 on them. Is Cleveland going to score 30 on you? Because you probably can score 30 on them. Like, you start playing that game, right? You start playing that game and you start looking at the teams on the schedule and saying, man, we can beat them. We can beat them. We can beat them. Why can't we beat them? Like, when you're looking at Pittsburgh, man, we weren't supposed to even be in the game against the Steelers. Now you're like, hey, why we can't beat the Steelers?
You start looking like, can Fields put up 30 though?
Yeah, look, exactly. You start asking these questions like, hey, look, man. And so I went into the schedule in the season saying there was only one game that felt like it wasn't impossible, but it was like sort of like it felt like a kamikaze mission, sort of like, so to speak. And that was the Cincinnati game. Like they left us out to dry early in the season on a Monday night at Cincinnati, and we went in there and we won. And so now the next game that looks like that is Baltimore. So we'll see. I think that, you get past Cleveland, we gotta find a way to win this game first. That Baltimore game is gonna be huge because that's the one when you find out, like, even if you don't win, but if you're highly competitive on the road, people are gonna be like, okay, they're legit, especially if you go there and win somehow. But man, 10-11 feels realistic, right? Because I think we can win the division. Like, I'm gonna be brash, I'm gonna be bullish. We're the best team in this division. I watched Dallas, I watched Philadelphia. We know the Giants ain't competing this year. So
I feel the same way, man. I picked them to go 8-9, and I always said I'm not gonna change at any point, but I would be remiss not to, man. I'm looking at what we're doing. I'm looking at the Eagles. They're banged up, and Jalen Hurts is playing like shit. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys are without Parsons and Lawrence for a long stretch. And have you seen their murderers row schedule that they got coming up for the next 7 or 8 weeks? It is not what we have on the schedule.
They brought in KJ Henry to save the day.
They brought in
KJ to save the day.
KJ Henry is coming to replace Michael Parsons.
Henry. Henry.
Shout out to KJ. But it's really hard to look at this schedule. Like, I'm trying my best to not be overreactive, but I gotta lean into it at this point because I'm looking at it like this: 7-6 through these next 13 takes you to 10-7. 7-6, 7 wins, 6 losses. Split with the Eagles and the Cowboys. Sweep the Giants. That's 3 wins right there. The Carolina Panthers, that's 4 wins right there. If you're looking at it like winning the games you're supposed to. Chicago, winnable game. Tennessee, that's 6. That's 6 right there. Split with New Orleans and Atlanta out of the NFC South. That's 10 wins right there. There's no way we shouldn't be feeling like in a year, every time the NFC East is down, who wins the division? But this time, we're coming with a new army. We have a new leader at quarterback. We have a head coach that actually gets the team prepared on a weekly basis. We got a GM who's probably going to shake some shit up here before the 11-5 trade deadline. We have some pieces. We don't even have everything we need yet, but it feels like with Snyder out of the building, we got a refresh of football karma. The football gods are going to allow us to have nice things. We haven't had an 11-win season since my birth year, the 91 season, the one everybody talks about, 14-2, blowout in the Super Bowl. How poetic would it be for the script writers if in Jayden Daniels, Adam Peters, Josh Harris's first fingerprint on the franchise season, we break that long ass streak in the first year? I'm calling 11-6 also, bro.
Yeah.
I'm calling 11-6. Let's win us a fucking division, y'all.
Yeah, let's go do it, man. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna say this too, man. As crazy as it feels, we early, man. We came to the party early. We weren't supposed to be doing that this year. We playing with house money. Ain't no pressure on us. The pressure's on Philly. The pressure's on Dallas. The pressure ain't on us.
House
So
money.
Especially cap space wise. The pressure on them cap space wise, like crazy.
I mean, when's the last time you could look around the entire division and say, we're the most stable organization?
Oh my God, it's a beautiful day.
I mean, it's crazy, man.
Beautiful
Man,
day.
even just little things like the decision to go straight from Cincinnati to Arizona.
Yeah.
And like,
Right.
I mean, of course, that cost the organization more money to do that, but they were like, it's worth it. Let's make sure these guys are adjusted to the time zone, all of that.
And we actually have the funds to do it now because Dan's broke ass, all his money resided in the team. He didn't have it. He would have had to pull a loan from the team's funds just to do that. So
he would have never. He would have never.
He refused to get rid of that field that was sitting there for 20 plus
Yeah,
years. Josh Harris came and did it immediately.
That's right.
That's my field. But that is going to wrap up our first quarter check-in. We're going to try to do it again for the first half of the season, 4 weeks from now. I appreciate you boys for coming on, a part of this council. It's always a vibe when my guys come on. Everybody in the chat knows every single one of you, but let's sign it off properly and let folks know where they can find you, then Rico, then Lou, and then we can get out of here.
Yes, sir. You can find me on YouTube. You type in at Oliver Commanders. Not with Locked On Wizards anymore, but you can still check them out too as well. Some of the old videos and whatnot. We'll be doing Wizards content on my own channel. Now I know you guys probably don't care about the Wizards. It is what it is, though.
Oh no, I do. I care about the Wizards,
yeah,
bro.
yeah. Right.
Trash.
Yeah, with the DC. And of course, you can follow me on social media. My Twitter name is a long name, but
hey, Ed, the only one where you got to actually look Ed up. Ed got like 6 aliases on all social media platforms. I be trying to figure out, hey, which one is it? Is it Ed Too Tall or is it?
I'd be mad at you. You gotta
Negro. Like, wait a minute, which one is? I can't.
You gotta save the damn tweet in the draft and come back to it.
Come back and find it. Hey.
Well, yeah, no, y'all funny. But last note, I wouldn't trade for Devontae Adams. That's the only thing I'm gonna say. But I know Rio really wants Devontae, but we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold y'all, man. I get everybody's point to why they would not want that, but I see the vision if we were to do it, but I don't think we're gonna do it. But I think Adam Peters is good enough that he's gonna always have our name in the mix for whatever big name situation. If it's a fit, he's gonna be in the conversation. Rico?
Yeah, I mean, just to add to that too, I mean, how great things are going right now. I mean, we still have a long part of the season to go, but we were a free agency destination this past year. We signed the most free agents and we signed everybody to team-friendly contracts for like the vast majority. I can't wait to see what it's looking like next year. People lining up to come play for Jayden Daniels, whether it's linemen, wide receivers, DBs. I mean, you can, as a defensive player, to know you can allow 30 points and you still win the game. Like that has to, you have to play with another level of like, man, we good. I just got to go out there and do enough type of thing. So probably going to attract free agents. Like, I mean, they're just missing me. Like, imagine a great corner. Like, all they need is me. We can go somewhere. But yeah, man, you can find me Street Scores on YouTube, of course, on Twitter, Street Scores ATL. And I'm like somewhere in between, but I'm leaning towards more Rio, where I kind of just want to see, man. I know fun doesn't equal winning, but I mean, that just sounds so fun. That just sounds so fun.
Hey, man, Terry on one side, Devontae on the other. You throw OZ or Luke in that slot. I'm just saying, man. Jayden, we may start talking crazy after seeing that for a couple weeks. Luke, sign us off, man.
Oh, man. I'm gonna have a whole dissertation on that on my show tomorrow night. But don't forget, this man called us the worst fan base in football. Like, I didn't forget that. I'm petty, right? This man shitted on the whole DMV, said we had the worst fan base in football. F Devontae Adams, but
hey, yeah, you watch him run a double move, you gonna forget he ever said
it. Hey. Y'all know y'all can find me, man. Louis T Network on all platforms. Type in Louis T, and usually it'll pop up. But Louis T Network _ on IG, Louis T Network on X, and then Louis T Network on YouTube. I'm on Bleacher Report all the time. I'm all over the place. Louis T Network podcast. Y'all know where to find me. Appreciate all the support, man. Really do truly appreciate each and every single one of y'all holding all of us down, man. We a tight-knit community and we couldn't do it without y'all. So we appreciate the love.
Hell yeah. We're talking about 80,000 subscribers between the four of us here. Thank all of you for supporting all of us. And I hope this season continues on the right track and we're not all hit for old takes exposed in a couple weeks. Until next time, hail to the Washington Commanders. Everybody have a blessed evening. Let's go make it 4 in a row. We out.